Excuse me. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Well, here we are, back again, chapter 4 of the DC Alliance podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Greg. With me, as always, my homeboy T-Bone. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Greg. Just actually finished watching the most recent Stargirl episode, and I couldn't be more surprised about how good it was. This whole season has made me surprised. I figured it was going to be Flash season 5, 6, 4 all over again in terribleness, but no, it's probably my favorite DC TV show right now.
Yeah, new TV show. I could definitely say that. It's not not my favorite they put out by far, but it's very good. I'm very, very surprised by it. And we actually have a special. We're doing 2 episodes tonight because we're recording this episode very late on a Monday, and we both got to watch the newest episode of Stargirl. So we're going to bring that up at the end of the night. We also have the man all the way from the top with us tonight, another Travis. So we have Travis Squared with us this evening. Travis the Second Power. How you doing, buddy?
That's a lot of nicknames. I'm doing quite well. Just like Heath Ledger's Joker, I'm here to introduce a little chaos. I gotta thank you two on here. This was not planned. We've been trying to do a Marvel and DC crossover, and we will do it at some point, but it's just the schedule's always been tough to line up. But Travis like, oh, anytime you want to come on, let us know. And right now I'm working days, and then Austin and talk about my phone lit up, and I had to light them up like the bat signal of like, hey, if you got room tonight, I really want to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I thank you both for having me on, and I'm a fan of the show. I listen every week you guys put it. Obviously I listened because I, upload it, but I when I listened to the first episode, I knew, oh man, this is exactly what I wanted from you guys. So you guys got a good chemistry going on, and I'm excited to be here.
Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. That's awesome.
But thanks, buddy. Yeah. Actually, Greg, you know why he's here too. Marvel news is getting a little stale.
Yeah, the well's dry right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the big announcement. I'm leaving Marvel Alliance to join the DC Alliance. Chris is alone now. I'm sorry, Chris. This is how you're finding out. No, this is. I'm not cheating on my other significant other. What's happening is, we've said this before, with comic movies and stuff, it's an open relationship. You can love a little bit of everyone, so.
The question is, did you tell Chris you were coming on tonight? That's the real question. If you're cool with it, did
not.
You tell him?
I had to leave it a surprise. I'm going to be, even in my posting Twitter, I just put a little eye wink while promoting this. I have not said to anybody, so they'll have a nice little surprise when they hear their ear holes, so.
Very, very nice. I like that. And, alright, we got a whole lot of news to talk about tonight, but before we get into the news, I want to just go ahead and plug the network. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network here on the DC Alliance podcast. You can check out the Geek Ultimate Alliance 5 days a week, dropping new shows every day. We cover everything you need, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, movies, animated stuff. It's all there for us, and we have a great cast of characters there with us, so come check us out. We're out there, just search Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network, and you'll find all of us. So, without further ado, let's get into some news. Big news this week for DC. We've had a lot of stuff dropping for DC. I'm going to start with what I think is probably some of the biggest, Snyder Cut trailer. Not really a trailer. Snyder Cut news. I'm going to go ahead and let you know. I heard from a very, very good source, there may be a Snyder Cut trailer about 1.5 minutes, just a little teaser, dropping in the next couple days. Just saying. So just keep your eyes peeled for that.
Really? Days? I would thought they would have held it FANDOME, however we're pronouncing it.
It just depends on how long it takes me to finish it. Once I finish it, then I'm going to drop it. so once I finish it, then I'm
You're
going to
get called out as being some false scooper now. You're going to be like, oh, Greg knows some scoops and trailer shopping. I see, you got something brewing. Yeah, okay.
I actually thought you knew something too. I was like, what the hell, man? You never shared it with me?
Yeah, we're doing video. I wish I could have seen your face right there.
I was like, is he talking about Justice Con maybe? I was like, that's in another month?
Yeah. No, I'm working on a little trailer. It'll be fun. It looks pretty good. It's fan made, of course. But it's I like it. It's my little tribute to Zack Snyder's Justice League. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So he dropped some footage, or actually, was it Jason Momoa that broke it?
Yeah, very smart by them to use Jason Momoa to push this out first. That's what he did. Well, Momoa's been one of the most public supporters of the cast. He's been interviewed and basically said it sucks in our business, and then he's like, fuck yeah, I want to see the Snyder Cut. So I mean, he kind of wants to toe the company line, but he has a hard time. And he also got a lot of followers, so it kind of makes sense. Plus Aquaman, $1 billion hit.
Yeah.
Makes real sense. And then it came out with every, like, AT&T, everything that AT&T owned, pushed it out of their Twitter accounts at the same time. And it was nice to see. It was only 34 seconds is the exact runtime on it, but it didn't show much. It showed basically stuff we already got from Snyder in black and white photos, but leading up to it, but we never had anything in terms of video stealing it all together. So it was nice to see Wonder Woman, basically one of the, if not the biggest hits of his casting, and also seeing a young Darkseid, in my opinion, from the history lesson I think that it's from. And also, very kind of controversial to have Jesse Eisenberg's Lex play over it. He was not everyone's favorite casting. I kind of enjoyed him. I don't think he was a traditional Lex. He kind of had some quirks I would associate more with the Riddler than I would Lex Luthor, but I still enjoyed his whole puppet master thing of BBS, like of him pulling all the strings. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I just can't wait for the full thing. I just thought this was a really cool little teaser. It got people excited. There's 1 million views on, I want to say, at least 4 or 5 different platforms, sites. Momoa's Instagram had 1 million. YouTube had 1 million. Zack Snyder's Twitter had 1 million. So there is appetite out there for this, and I'm pretty excited for it.
Oh, yeah. Travis, too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's the thing I do like about Zack Snyder is he's great at capturing a tone, and he knows what his tone is, whether you like it or not. And it's a very ominous feel. So I like it. It was, like Travis said, I think that's why I didn't get too hyped about, because it's stuff we had seen in photos, but it was just kind of cool seeing, okay, this footage is being put together, it's being edited, it's kind of just tangible that it's still maybe, not a full year away, but it's next year, but it's closer than ever. And I guess for me, I'm just very interested to see how much they kind of lean on Darkseid, because Zack Snyder has been propping him up a lot. This first kind of clip from the Snyder Cut, or I guess Zack Snyder's Justice League, is her looking at this. We get the actual footage of him in that scene that Steppenwolf was, and kind of replaced him and whatnot. So I'm wondering if I imagine it's just the history lesson, but that's what I hope, that fans have their expectations set properly, that we get to see Darkseid. But I think there's some people that are getting maybe too overly hyped that he is going to be in this film tons. There could be more than he could be hiding more, but I want people just to go in and expect the worst, but hope for the best. And I think just expect him to be in that history lesson a little bit more. But the actual footage, I liked it. I'll be excited. Greg, I'm excited for your trailer, of course, but I am probably a tad more excited when he drops his official trailer. Yeah. Obviously we debate this all the time, you and me, Greg, but I'm still a massive fan of Ben Affleck's Batman. So any new footage of him as Batman, I am getting ready for, especially because in that Justice League of the Joss Whedon cut, you can tell he was very much over. Not even just the movie, just obviously had personal problems too, right? So I'm excited to see when he's a bit more locked into the role. So I liked what I saw, but I'm ready to see a bit more.
Yeah, and I'm in the same camp as you, man. We're all very excited to see what's going to come out of this movie. But as far as Darkseid goes, I think you're right on the money right there. I don't think you're going to see much of him in the movie. I mean, you'll see the picture you saw. You'll see a young version of the history lesson, and then I think you'll see him in one scene at the end, and it'll be brief. Mm-hmm. It'll be like Thanos at the end of Avengers. Just a real brief, quick shot of him. You'll see something. Yeah, because rumor has it they look up the boom tube and they look through the boom tube and they see him at the end. And I'm sure that's probably going to be something like that. I want to know if they're going to have Steppenwolf as Snyder's version of Steppenwolf or the version of Steppenwolf that we got.
He came out and said that it would be his version, Vero. Okay. So I think that's partly where all the money is going to go, the VFX stuff.
So that's the version like BVS Ultimate Cut, right?
Yeah,
that
kind of like that.
Okay. Yeah. I prefer that look as well, so that's good.
Yeah, I've got a picture of it I can show you. I'll send it to you later.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like we may get, I'm hoping we'll get 3 scenes. I'm hoping we'll get 3 scenes of Darkseid. The history lesson Darkseid, the at the end and boom tube, and I'm really hoping we get a scene between Darkseid and Steppenwolf before Steppenwolf invades, kind of showing the pecking order.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Steppenwolf is Darkseid's uncle. He's like, if you were just looking, he would be above him on the food chain, just in terms of older, more experience. But he fears Darkseid. He's Darkseid's servant. So I kind of want to see that established. I'd like to see Darkseid talking to him. And from the kind of the promotion I've seen Ray Porter do, I feel like he has more than just like a couple lines. So I'm hoping we get that scene in the middle, maybe, or a scene after the history lesson where he tells Steppenwolf it's time to go to Earth to invade, kind of deal. So, but where it ended off with BVS with Steppenwolf communicating to Lex, who knows? I don't exactly know how that'll go, but I would like to see a pecking order between Darkseid and Steppenwolf.
Okay, so we know we're going to see Darkseid in this one, at least at some point in time. Do you guys want more in the trailers, or do you just want to see it when it happens? Like, do you want to see any clips of him further in the trailers? We know he's in there. Do y'all just want to wait to the fifth?
I think maybe like one brief shot in a trailer just to show something new, but if it all depends on how much footage they have them, right? If it is minimal, I want them to save that. If it is more than we're expecting, even if it is history lesson, or like Travis said, there's more dialogue, then you could show a little bit off, but I think that's kind of one of the selling points. There's lots of selling points at the Snyder Cut or Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I think that is one of, if you have the top 5 reasons, seeing Darkseid for DC fans is a kind of a dream come true, right? So I think you hold that a little bit, but you just a small tease.
The Marvel guy, I gotta ask, Snell, did you remember seeing Thanos teased at all in the Guardians of the Galaxy promos? Because I don't remember seeing him, and I really enjoyed the back and forth he had with Ronan.
Yeah.
Like I said, it showed the pecking order. It showed like Ronan thinking that if he had one Infinity Stone, he could take down Thanos, and just how he was taking orders from him, but not really. He was working his own agenda. I kind of like to see that kind of stuff, but I don't remember seeing him in the trailers at all.
No, I think they said that he was going to have a presence in the movie, but I don't even think for once they confirmed he was even going to physically appear in it, which he did do in that movie. So, and obviously we know at some point Darkseid's going to at least physically appear in this movie. So yeah, I think they can hold, and I would like that relationship too. I'm like, obviously the can of worms of what happens next. I'm still always wondering if there's obviously we'll talk about Flashpoint with Justice League 2. I just kind of go, what is the canon version now if they ever made a sequel? Because if Darkseid is that kind of the boom tube moment where you look up, that to me is setting up something down the line. And I guess you could easily, for general audiences, just be like, well, that happened off screen. You didn't see that in the theatrical cut, right? You can work it, but I am very curious to see if moving forward what happens between Justice League 2 or Flashpoint, how they kind of rework this into it as far as the canon, right? Because this is a unprecedented thing. There's director's cuts, but that's specifically, usually it's just one movie. It's not in a franchise of a bunch of sequels and continuing characters. So I'm interested how they tackle that.
Good.
I'll be interested to see how, if Zack Snyder talks to or works with Ava DuVernay at all, because she's working at New Gods. Is it going to, like, this could be its own separate, we'll go into the multiverse talking in a little bit, but I think that Zack Snyder's Justice League could just be on its own Earth, be on HBO Max. Yeah. And maybe you might get stuff following up to that, a second and third part. Who knows? I don't know 100%, but that would be my guess after the news we got today.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Let's put a pin in that thought right there, because that'll segues perfectly into the next two topics, but I want to talk about the next two topics before we mesh them together. So, Michael Keaton. This is the big one. This is the one that lit your phone up that you were like, I got to talk about it tonight, right? So lead us off.
100%. Yeah, so this is a pipe dream, and Travis and I have talked about this many times, and like Travis said, I'm a big Marvel guy. Marvel's my go-to, but I've always said that nothing beats Batman for me. Between Marvel, DC, I'll take just the Batman world over anything. So, but this is something that I always said, like, I would sacrifice the entire MCU Phase 4 just to get Michael Keaton back as a Batman Beyond type like character. And this isn't him being Batman and Batman Beyond, but now we've heard that he's coming back. It kind of is a mixture of Flashpoint, The Dark Knight Returns, and Batman Beyond. And I have some theories about how Batman Beyond could actually be incorporated in the future, but this, I couldn't believe my phone when I saw this. And lots of times we get these from rumors, like bloggers and stuff like this, but to see it first came from The Wrap, and then Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, all the major trades picked it up, and that's when it's like, it's tangible. Now, it's still in talks, so there's always a chance it could fall apart, right? Like if you remember back in the day, Baldwin was originally in Joker, and then it fell apart very quickly. It didn't happen. So there's a chance in a week from now they go, oh, they couldn't decide on money, and they pass. There's a chance that Michael Keaton's team leaked this so he could get more money. So you never know. But if we're operating the base that this could happen, this is a massive fanboy fangirl moment, because I was talking about this with my fiance as far as like I could go in a few years go see this with my daughter and then see this with my dad, who I saw the Michael Keaton Batmans with. That was my first Batman, was Michael Keaton. He's not my favorite, but he was my first. So it's just this like huge generational thing that would just kind of encapsulate almost every fan. And if you had no interest, like my mom, she doesn't know what Flashpoint is at all. She saw Justice League, but that was about it. I don't know if she'd be interested in the Flash movie, but I think you announcing Michael Keaton back as Batman in any movie, that has everybody buying a ticket. I have more to say, but I wanted to hear. I'll throw it to you, Travis. What are you thinking about this?
I was blown away. I was not expecting this. People started tweeting Michael Keaton Batman gifs about 2 hours before the news dropped, and it just came from a lot of mutuals that I have that some of them are in the business, some of them aren't. I was so curious. I didn't want to get my hopes up, but bam, and like you said, it's a mixture of several. I don't exactly know, like, will it be a repercussion to Flashpoint? Will it be another world, pulling him from another world? Could this erase Ben Affleck's Batman on the Earth that he comes back to? There's so many questions I have about all of this. I'm just excited, like you said. He was my first Batman as well. The Joker, I used to have nightmares about Jack Nicholson's Joker. So I only seen that when I was like 4, so that was kind of a mistake on my dad's part. But I would love it. Like so many questions. I would love for it to lead into a Batman Beyond type thing. And we've talked several times about hoping to get a Batman Beyond movie. I think it's primed to do it. I also think that I don't even want to call it a Flash movie anymore. It seems like it's a DC Universe movie.
Right.
And I still wish that we would have gotten a movie with the Flash against his rogues first, before maybe teased to Reverse Flash at the end. But it took so long to get this movie on the go. If I wait, I'll probably be 45 before I see Flash's sequel. So I don't think I can wait that long. And like you said in the chat, I think this is a way to toddy a lot of things up, because it's been dispersed in several different corners. DC has some films acknowledging Man of Steel BVS, some not, some like acknowledging Joker, some not. Aquaman, it was taken out basically. Most of the stuff. Jason Momoa fought to get one line kept in about Amber Heard saying that you defeated Steppenwolf, but there was a little bit more tied into that, and that got swooped out.
Okay.
And even though it's his Superman, I'd still say Shazam cameo still kind of counts as like a cutting of, like literally a cutting the head off of Superman. But it is like, because you could watch that and be like, oh, that's not Henry Cavill's Superman. That's just a Superman. Even though it's the same suit and it's build, they could swing it as, oh, that's not him. That's just a Superman, right? So it was like, they're always, and I think, Travis, you had a good tweet the other day when you said you're happy that they're not ignoring the things you like. And that's the thing we've talked about many times. There's things in the DCU I like, there's things I don't like, but I think for the fan base, it's great that right now I feel like DC's doing something for everyone right now. Like you have, whether it's Birds of Prey, whether it's Joker, whether it's Batman, whether it's Wonder Woman 2 coming up, whether now it's Michael Keaton is tapping into the 80s fan base. You know, that's tapping into a fan base that maybe dropped off now. That even my dad, the point is like, he was the guy that introduced me in the comics, and now he's in the point like they're making another Batman movie. He still doesn't watch Joker. My dad is a psychiatrist. He still doesn't watch it because he's just like, this is like the 29th Joker. Like, what's happening? I'm like, I'm just going to buy him and force him to watch it. But that's the only thing that I do see some disappointment. I agree with you as far as I'm not the biggest fan of Ezra Miller's Flash, but I do think you needed one movie with him before this, I think, because I think people that are looking forward to that, it is feeling a little like he is taking a back seat. No one's talking about Ezra Miller being in this movie in sense of they are, but now it's all about Keaton. It's all about, Cyborg. Are we going to get Aquaman, Wonder Woman? So that's the only con. It's not a con for me because you can call me a shill or whatnot, but I just want Michael Keaton, so I'll sacrifice whatever it takes other than my friends and family. But as far as movies and characters, I do understand some people's disappointment that it is more almost like a Civil War-esque, right? Where it's not, people call Captain America a movie. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time, right? And that's what this is. This is going to set up a future. And before I throw it over to Greg, because I want your thoughts, I think this is going to be the equivalent of Days of Future Past, what X-Men did. Their timeline was so muddled after Origins and X3 and all this stuff and the Wolverine, and obviously Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix came after, so they kind of messed it up again. But before that, Days of Future Past, everyone looked at that as like, oh, this is a reboot, a refreshing start that we can start over and have this new cast, new continuity. They brought back Cyclops. They brought back Jean Grey. They fixed a bunch of stuff, and I think that's what this is going to do. They're going to keep what they want and get away with what they don't want or can't have, maybe like unfortunately, Ben Affleck Batman.
Oh. Okay, so Keaton news. Very much like y'all, Keaton was my first, and you never forget your first. I mean, you just don't. Yep. No matter how much you want to, you never forget your first. So I don't mind Keaton's Batman. I like Keaton's Batman, and I love the movies growing up and everything. I feel like of recent, because I'm a huge Ben Affleck Batman fan, I feel like Ben Affleck haters have almost turned me against other Batmans because I always have to defend him against the other versions of Batmans, which makes me so irritated because I don't want to bring one down to bring the other one up, but I almost have to sometimes. I don't mind this happening under one circumstance, and I was reading up online, it was saying that if Michael, and this is all just rumored still, that he might play a role where he is Batman, but he is in more of a mentor role and he doesn't go on missions and stuff. I don't want that. I don't want that. If you're going to do that, then give me Batman Beyond. So I have a Batman in action. Was it Terry McGinnis?
Yeah.
Yeah. You give me that.
I think you're going to get that.
I think that's what
this is going to, I think it's going to lead to that.
I think it can too, but that's kind of tying in what I'm saying right here. I don't think Flashpoint is the way to go at all. And I think we discussed this before. It's a great story. I want to see Flashpoint on screen, but I would love to see Flash's characters built up. And I think he needs to earn that right to be able to try to go back to his mother. I really do. I think that's something he needs to earn. And you can't just do that right from the beginning. I mean, if you did that right when you were, you discovered your superpowers and that was one of the first things you did, that's kind of a cop-out, isn't it? I feel like it is.
I kind of would do that, though, not going to lie. If I was in his position and when I learned that I could time travel, I would do it. But I think, first of all, you're forgetting Jim Lee pushed very hard to get Ezra Miller in The Crisis and Infinite Earths. And they were done production. They were in post-production. And Jim Lee called Mark Guggenheim and was like, can we get Ezra Miller in? Bam, I'm playing, bam, bam, 3 days, done.
Right.
And they were just awesome. Yeah, for sure. And Jim Lee seems to be the puppet master of this whole thing, to be honest with you, which that gives me hope. I don't think that he's going to, because he enjoyed Zack Snyder's movies. He's been nothing but complimentary of Zack Snyder. And he also enjoys the CW shows. He enjoys Birds of Prey. Jim Lee pretty much enjoys it all.
Yeah.
He's Mr. DC right now. The past few years, he's the kind of goat. He's not, I don't think the icon level is Stan Lee, but he's starting to become that for DC. I think Johns was that for a little bit. Obviously, Jeff Johns is a divided topic at some point. I still love Jeff Johns. I think he's done some great things. But Jim Lee seems to be a bit more, I think, cooler with everybody on the fan base. It's kind of for everyone. It seems like no one really has a problem with Jim Lee, probably because he's great. Of great storylines and comic books, but everyone seems to rally behind Jim Lee, so they have that.
I mean, they should. He's a great guy. But like I said, I don't think Flashpoint should be where they start. But they can make it work for me with this Keaton thing, with Flashpoint, with everything else going on. If I read an article right before we got on here talking, and I have no idea the validity of this. I think it's just one guy's idea and it's a scoop. But it's a great idea. Because I always thought they should use the Flashpoint to reset the universe after they've gone through Snyder's vision. Go through that, reset the universe, then you can still have, everything else, and it's more natural that way. But this guy's talking about doing the Flashpoint at the beginning and opening up a multiverse. When you open up the multiverse, then you can have Michael Keaton in there as Michael Keaton's Batman from Batman 89 and connect Batman 89 to the DCEU and connect every other version of all these characters, television, everything into the DCEU so you have a huge toy box to play with and you can cross things over and do television, movies, do all kinds of different things. And I know it's not that simple to do that, but it's an idea to kind of throw out there and start out that's different. And it would be, then you could make everything work. Because for right now, for me, I don't like the idea of having 4 different versions of Batman on screen while we're trying to just keep up with one kind of continuity. Unless there's going to be 4 different continuities and 4 different storylines going on, and I don't think they're going to do that. It just seems too muddled for me. But if they broken it up to an entire multiverse where everything was different, but you could cross anything over you wanted to, and everything ties into each other, that would be a little different for me. And like I said, this is just a guy who had a theory, I think. I read on Yahoo News or whatever right before we got on, but kind of opened my eyes and I was like, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel the biggest question, because I got a list of questions I want to hit you guys with as the DC host, because I think the listeners would be happy with this. So how are you going to feel if, let's say, this Flashpoint movie ends and it's not exactly a multiverse, that's open, but Ezra Miller sets everything right and everything seems to be okay, but when it gets back to the Wayne Mansion, the Batcave, it is Michael Keaton's Batman. That's why I want to hit you with that one, because that is a way, it's kind of Days of Future Passing, right? Oh, Scott and Jean were dead. Nope, they're alive. And that's the way you could say, oh, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is older now, it's Keaton, or it's just this one, because if you look at the Rat, which was the official breaking story, they said the story beat was the Flash follows Ezra Miller's Barry Allen as he travels back in time to prevent his mother's death, like the story. However, he creates another universe protected by Michael Keaton's Batman, who's now 30 years older. It's kind of a way of, the article also points out that it seems like, makes sense, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin will not be canon to Michael Keaton's universe. So, shout out to Joel Schumacher, by the way, who passed away. But as a kid, he gave me, Batman and Robin was my first Batman movie I saw in theaters, and I had such a blast. So shout out to him. But that's where I am wondering, as far as, I think there's a chance that Ben Affleck, I think Henry Cavill, we always talked about he was done, but there was always that hope as far as he always wanted to do it. Ben Affleck, I don't think he wants to do it, not in the sense of the character. I think he wants to move on with his life and he doesn't want to take on that pressure. So I think that they will use him like a Nick Fury, and I'll talk about my Batman Beyond thing in a second, but how do you guys feel if the universe resets, it's a new universe, but it's no longer Ben Affleck, it's now Michael Keaton?
I would be a little disappointed because I kind of been hoping, I've been driving the train of Flash goes back in time, does Flashpoint, fixes everything, comes back, and instead of Batfleck, it's Pattinson, because his movie is supposed to come out before this Flash movie, his first one. So I was hoping that would bring it into canon, and he could do this, Matt Reeves could still do the 2 other movies in his own world, but Pattinson could come into other movies, and especially he's young. And for the Ben Affleck part of it, the dude's 47. He has to put on 40 pounds of muscle to be this version of Batman. And if you watch any of the press junkets leading up to BVS and Justice League, 80% of what Ben Affleck is talking about is complaining about having to work out all the time and having to eat chicken for every meal while you have people
and just getting asked about the Batman constantly, and he just didn't want to. He wanted to talk about his other movie that he actually directed. No one cared about it at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you got Ray Fisher there being like, "Yeah, it was wicked," and Jason Momoa being like, and Ben Affleck's just like, I don't want to work out anymore. I want to wear an Iron Man mask, and that's how you can be there for. I'm sure it was hard on Chris Evans, and he's, I want to say, 10 years younger than Ben Affleck, and he still had to be in Captain America shape, and then he has to film his scenes in Atlanta in the hot heat, and he complained about that even. So I can imagine 10 years later, and we don't know how Ben Affleck puts that 40 pounds of muscle on. There's not like there's Hollywood steroid tests or anything like that. So that can't be good for you. So I can understand him not wanting to reprise the role anymore. And I was hoping that instead of Michael Keaton, it would be Robert Pattinson. And what I hope for Michael Keaton is Flash is like in the midst of Flashpoint, and Michael Keaton's Batman from another Earth has technology kind of like Cisco in the Flash, where he can breach to different Earths, and he comes and helps the Flash during Flashpoint and helps him like figure out how to get back and how to set things right. So I'm kind of hoping that, and that's the way Keaton will be. Like he'll be able to come in and be advisory through those wormholes, whatever we call them, Cisco. I don't know what their vibe Cisco calls them, but I'm not exactly sure what the breaches maybe. I think, actually it's breaches. So I'm hoping that he can come and be the Nick Fury type with that, and you still leave Pattinson there, and when he goes back, when Keaton goes back to his own Earth, you can do a Batman Beyond type movie with that as well. You build him up with a couple appearances, and then one time he comes back to the Batcave and the Batsuit's missing, and you can just, there could be an end credit scene, and you can lead a movie off with that. And
okay.
See, where I didn't want to rain on your parade, but if these rumors are true, almost all the trades that have been reported and have said Robert Pattinson, this is not bringing him in, though. That's the thing where they're saying, they've said that the goal with the Robert Pattinson Batman is to be like Joker. It's going to be a separate thing, and I honestly do think, you can quote me on this, I think the Batman is going to be rated R. I think that's how they're going to differentiate, because I wonder how Pattinson and Matt Reeves feel. Of course they're going to say, oh, this is cool, he's coming back, but I do wonder if there is a little like, man, like I'm trying to make a movie and you're bringing Michael Keaton back as Batman, like I'm trying to get people excited, but if you now start telling people, oh, but the thing about this Batman movie is it's the first ever theatrical Batman to be rated R, that might be this is interesting. So that's the only thing where there was people saying now that it's not including him, so I'm thinking Michael Keaton might be more in play than somehow he's more in play than Pattinson and Affleck, which is crazy to think about.
I would like to see that, the rated R Batman, but something tells me after Birds of Prey's performance at a rated R, they might be a little hesitant to do that, which, I'm all for it. I'd love to see it. Like, I love Birds of Prey. I was okay with the rating. I also thought that maybe they should have had a PG-13 version so that they could get the younger female demographic into the movie as well, because that's basically what the Birds of Prey team-up is. And you could have even released a rated R version on, and Blu-ray or digital. But you can't go back in time and fix that. So I think that they probably be a little extra hesitant. But now Batman is a big property, Snell, so you could be right, like a la
and
Deadpool.
Joker made $1 billion, right? That's the thing. It's tough. Birds of Prey was kind of not it wasn't a bomb, but it was under expectations, where Joker was over expectations. So it's kind of that, where do you go in the middle, right? It's kind of the Batman. If that was radar, that would be the next test to go. Was it just Birds of Prey a one-off, or is it all the audience? As far as radar is a little iffy. Greg? What are you thinking about this possibly Keaton replacing the Affleck stuff? Because I know you love Affleck. You're a big Batfleck guy, but what you're just staring down that gun barrel right now. And Michael Keaton is holding the gun.
Yeah, he is. Well, it's like I said, I don't mind Michael Keaton's Batman. And if he came back and he was an older Batman, it's fine. I just don't want him to be the same Batman as Batfleck, because that's just not like what the guy all of a sudden lost 100 pounds. And, but I mean, I guess it's whatever. It's just the way it looks. It's like it's interesting, like Rhodey and, when they changed out any character and anywhere else. But, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. And I'm at the point where I don't want to put up too many expectations, because I really have no idea what's going on. It's so early, and all this stuff really is still rumors too. I mean, there's nothing about it that right now has any kind of remote truth to it yet. And we've heard a lot of stuff before that was built up that hasn't come to fruition. And, I just don't want to be disappointed again. So I'm interested to see where they go with this. I wanted to touch on what you were talking about them bringing Keaton in and having how it might be looked at as like maybe Reeves and Pattinson are like, whoa, we're trying to do this thing here. Yeah, well, if you know your Batman's not going to be involved in this universe, you've got to be able to play ball with them being able to have another Batman, because they're not going to have a DC universe without a Batman. I mean, it's just not going to happen.
Well, they're not, but it's just so funny, the parallels, because this happened around 2008 when Nolan was doing the franchise and they were trying to make Justice League. And you can believe urban legend or not, there was the writer's strike, but another thing was apparently Nolan really put the kibosh on that and said, hey, I'm making what people are calling like a masterpiece Batman, and you want to make a Justice League movie? And that's where, to me, Christopher Nolan has that power to maybe shut that down. It shows Matt Reeves clearly does not have that power, and I think he gets that, but I think when we're talking about Reeves and Pattinson, the way they might pitch it is, I think my Batman Beyond is, I don't think you're going to get Terry McGinnis, because in that quote you were talking about, Greg, where they said he could be a mentor role, they used Nick Fury as an example, but they also use mentoring Batgirl. I think they may do Batman Beyond, but take out Terry McGinnis and use Barbara Gordon. She may find the Batcave. She may do the exact same kind of story. It might not be cyberpunk like in the future 2000, like whatever, but I think they may adapt that. So you will have a kind of like the CW where there is a Bat character. We don't know, maybe it's Miss Wilder or whoever the hell it is right now. But like, you have a Bat character, right? And I think that's what will happen. You'll have Keaton, who's the guy in the chair, but you'll have Batgirl, Batwoman, whatever they want to call her, as the main DCU Bat character, while Pattinson is doing his soul thing. So I don't think there will be a Batman versus Batman thing. I think on initial thought, they may look at this go like, what the hell? Because look at Jared Leto. When it came out after, apparently he was pretty pissed about that Joaquin Phoenix Joker stuff. On the surface, he's like, oh, it's great, that's cool. And again, it's all rumors, but lots of reports came out that he tried to kibosh it. He was not happy with it. So Pattinson's never gonna come out and be like, man, fuck, no one's gonna say fuck Michael Keaton because it's Michael Keaton, but there might be a little part of like, man, everyone's gonna be so excited to see him and now I'm chopped liver. So that's why I think they're gonna maybe adapt Batman Beyond eventually and put Barbara in there, and that's why you can get Batgirl in one universe and Batman in another.
Well, you even go back even further, when Begins was being made, Smallville wanted to put Bruce Wayne in season 6 of Smallville and build their own Justice League, and they got the kibosh put on that because of Batman Begins. So I just think that we're in such uncharted territory now because we have Pattinson Batman, we have Ben Affleck Batman, we have whatever in the God is going on with Batwoman because I was so excited to see Bruce Wayne and be like, oh my God, I wonder will Kate Kane figure out that her cousin isn't really Bruce Wayne? And now I gotta wonder if Ryan Wilder will, for some reason won't know that Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne. Like, they threw it all away.
Yeah,
he's in Titans as well.
Yeah, there you go. He's in Titans too. So I mean, I love this because it's complete opposite of what's going on, and I can only credit this to AT&T because before, when WB and their people were in it before, there was nothing like that allowed. We kept hoping that we'd see Bruce Wayne show up on Arrow or in DCCW, and now we finally got him. And I don't think we would have gotten him in Titans or anything like that. I think all this leads up to AT&T being like, no, we don't believe in oversaturation. Look at the MCU. Look at Marvel, how much money it made. We can put things and we can put characters in different things. We have a smart enough audience that they will know. They won't go to a movie and be like, oh, is the character from The Flash going to be in this movie? No, at the TV show, they're kind of, I think they're believing that, and they're also trying to maximize their profits. And I'm all for that. Maybe the market might get oversaturated after a few years, but I don't think so. I think that DC can handle the multiverse. And I'll go back to Jim Lee pushing Ezra into the TV show. Something I never thought would happen, that the DCEU would be in the DCCW. That was one of my main criticisms from Marvel with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvel Netflix shows. I'm like, you're referencing the movies, but the movies aren't acknowledging that you exist at all. You're not getting any main movie characters listed, Nick Fury or Lady Sif.
Even for just a scene, yeah.
Besides, but I'm just so happy, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that for a while DC was really down. I mean, reviews were down and critics were down on the whole franchise and the way it was going. But I feel like over the last little while, it's been a really positive uptick for the DC, kind of filmmaking, DC big screen, DC live action stuff, television, everything. They've really been on kind of an uptick, and it almost seems like I haven't heard, I mean, of course there's a lot of stuff going on, but I haven't heard a lot of news from anything else lately movie-wise, well, probably just because what I pay attention to, but than stuff coming out on DC. And I mean, I don't know, it's very exciting. They have the FANDOME coming up, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute, but you're right, it's uncharted waters, man, and everything's looking up for DC right now. I wanted to touch real quick on the toughness thing you were talking about a minute ago with Ben Affleck, and here's my thing. If you don't want to play the role, I get that. Okay, no problem. But don't say you don't want to play the role because of how toughness. You're a millionaire. Okay, it's like athletes. No, I don't want to hear it. It's like athletes who complain about their job. It's what you signed up to do. You're getting paid millions of dollars to do it, and realistically, you're only doing it for X amount of time, and then you get to go live a lavish life. So don't.
That didn't happen with Justice League, though, right? He didn't sign up for that. He didn't sign up to almost 2 movies.
I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, he's 47 though. I could understand your logic for a young person breaking into the film industry.
He signed up for that role.
He didn't sign up. He didn't sign up to be what they eventually turned him into, which was they tried to turn him into the Iron Man of the DCEU.
Yeah. No,
they had him showing up on Suicide Squad.
I'm talking about physically.
Oh yeah, but he signed up for 5-movie arc where in the 4th movie he dies. He sacrifices himself. He wouldn't have to put all this weight on anymore and build this muscle because, like you said, he's 47. He wants to direct movies. He's well accomplished. I can get behind you if it's Ray Fisher or Jason Momoa being like, okay, I don't want to work out. Dude, this is stupid. I could be like, well, you were only on a hit TV show for 2 seasons, and I never heard whatever you read before, Ray Fisher. So I can understand. But with Ben Affleck, he has he can't hear you because the 2 Oscars he has is blocking his ears.
That's very true. I guess, like I said, I don't know.
No,
And I also think too, it's a realistic standpoint. He was going through a lot of personal troubles in that thing too. So it's maybe in a time where he's having to go to rehab and then have to work out. Maybe it's hey, I really want to focus on myself. It's no, you got to hit the gym, bro. You need to get in there. It's
okay,
yeah, but they told me I'm supposed to have an hour of meditation. I don't care. You're Batman. And it's okay, because he said that. That's where I really felt for him. That quote if he said whoever the friend was, who we all know is Matt Damon. He's I gave him the script and he said the script is great. You can make this, but is it going to ruin you just kind of as a person? And he sat back and when he clearly can't handle it. So I think that's better because I agree with you, but the Ben Affleck we got in Justice League was awful. And that's why I'm excited to see Zack Snyder's Justice League because he is so checked out. And it didn't ruin BVS's performance for me, but it really put a sour taste in my mouth. You look at someone like Hugh Jackman. I'm not trying to do a Marvel vs. DC thing, but even Hugh Jackman, who's in the most dog shit Wolverine Origins movie, he's going 110%. Whatever reason Zack Snyder's Justice League, whether it was because he had to reshoot an entire movie because of his personal life, his marriage falling apart, he just was not there. He didn't want to do it. So in that sense, I'd rather him go, you know what, even now, I think it was a few weeks ago, he just said he has no passion for the role anymore. And that sucks, but I do want him to step away. Even if that means doing a cameo and he's I don't really care about this cameo, then don't do it because it'll just sour you more. And the same way Justice League kind of I miss the bat flick that we got. I don't agree all the script choices, but his performance was top notch. And Justice League, he was definitely zoned out and in a whole nother space.
Well, he loves Zach too, and he had to toe his company line because he did a lot of stuff for Warner Brothers. They let him do whatever they want. He wanted director-wise.
Oh yeah.
But as a director, I'm sure it definitely didn't sit well with him seeing them go on with the movie, changing the movie while Zach was away for a tragedy.
Right.
And you get he sent a message to Fat Man on Batman saying a video message saying how happy he was that Zack Snyder's cut is going to be released. He's retweeted Zack's stuff and liked Zack's stuff, and same thing with the Zack Snyder Justice League announcement. He did that. Now I'm more in Snell's camp. I don't think he wants to be Batman anymore. Right. He may do some additional ADR. But because you can easily have Richard Sertone in the Batsuit, because he was in the Batsuit for most of the fighting and the actual stuff, so you could do some ADR to keep that little hidden gem. But I don't think you're going to get any more new scenes of Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And that's why I think that Keaton card's coming in. I want to ask one last question on the Keaton thing to you guys. If they do a whole retcon, as far as I don't even think that Michael Keaton would be playing Ben Affleck's Batman. I think it would just be a change of the entire universe, and it's always been this way. What happens to the side characters as far as a Harley Quinn and a Joker? I don't think Margot Robbie goes away, but obviously if you change that Batman, that changes everything about her past. And same thing with, if he comes in, does that mean our Joker in this universe now is Nicholson's Joker who's dead, or is it still Jared Leto? And that's the thing where I do wonder if he comes in the universe, what all changes around him, or is it just him that changes? I don't know. I really don't.
It all depends on how they go with Flashpoint, because in, just say, for example, the TV show, which loosely did Flashpoint, in my opinion,
very loose.
There was consequences throughout the whole season of him going back in time. Yes, but they not everything changed. Cisco,
not how they promoted it.
They promoted it deceivingly.
Yeah.
Same thing as when Supergirl promoted. The 4. I can't remember what they're called now. The Elite. They promoted the Elite like it was straight out of the comics, it lasted about an episode and a half, which really soured me again. love Arrow. But
just putting it out there.
Just as that
already.
But I really think that this could be something. They could actually do very well with this, and it all depends on the changes. Like Cisco's, like all the characters were the same, but minor things changed. Like Cisco's brother died. Caitlin had frost powers, like her killer frost powers, where she didn't in the previous continuity. So we could have little things change, but I think those actors, Diggle's son, daughter.
Was there ever a point to that change?
Flashpoint.
Yeah. It was meant for him to be mad. It was meant to keep Oliver and Barry from going with him in the crossover. Basically, that's the only thing I could see from what happened with that.
That's planning ahead right there.
But that definitely did. That was just a happy, lucky coincidence for them. But I really think that we'll keep Margot Robbie. I don't know what is going to go on with Joker. Maybe you could actually get a recast of the Joker with this. I don't know.
Get Jack back. Get him in the makeup, you know.
If you're going to bring Jack back, why not?
Cross your fingers, Snell. Maybe you might get somebody else cast as Joker. Who knows? So you could do a lot of things with Flashpoint, or you could do very little. It all depends on what you want to do, but I think they're going to use this to reset a lot of things.
Imagine if we have Jeremy Irons as Alfred with Michael Keaton's Batman, and they're like the identical age, and he's like, oh, Master Bruce, and it's just they don't even address it in the movies. I agree with that. I think with Leto, I think that all depends on two things. One, how does Morbius do, and then two, what happens with the Ayer cut, because I think the Ayer cut will come out, and we'll see what the reception is that. And I'm not really opposed to it. I think I was more opposed to Leto coming back when we weren't doing this multiverse thing. Now that we have Joaquin Phoenix, and there's already rumors like, hey, Matt Reeves wants to do Joker. I know we have many more Jokers down the line. That's the thing with even Snyder's universe that I didn't know going on. I didn't even know it was going to be this 5-movie plan. No one did, right? I thought this was going to be it, and this is it for the next 10 years. And I like some stuff, but I always thought, there's some other routes I'd like to look into. So now, even if Leto was to come back to main continuity, I wouldn't really throw a big fit because, one, I'm not the biggest fan, but there's other Jokers that are going to be around now. There's other Batman, so it's not the one and only. And I still kind of think that Birds of Prey set up him to be the villain in the next movie. They didn't set up, but like he's the go-to. He is you kind of should bring him back for her to fully kind of beat him. And maybe there is a universe where we see Michael Keaton with Jared Leto's Joker. That is a scary universe I did not picture could happen. But hey, maybe he can break some teeth and whatnot. Here's actually one other question. Do we see Michael Keaton at least if he comes back once in the Batman suit? Like a Batman suit?
We could see him very similar to Batman Beyond, where he's going out, he has a heart issue, and he's going to shoot the criminal right in the face, and he throws the gun and he goes back, closes his costume, and says, never again. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget watching Batman Beyond, and that first scene, because I was kind of scoffing at it. I was like, what, you're going to future Batman? This is going to be nonsense. And then you jump in with that first 5 minutes of old Bruce, Kevin Conroy, and you're like, oh man, he's still kicking ass with gray hair. Look at him go. And then he breaks his rule. He was going to break his one rule, and that caused him to quit. Which a lot of angry people on Twitter would love that because that's their like go-to Batman never kills. But I do appreciate that, especially the low-level thug of him going to shoot him, and he's like, no, I'm basically the Punisher now. Like, screw this kind of deal. So I don't know for sure, but fingers crossed.
What about you, Greg?
I don't want to see him in the suit.
You don't want to see him in the suit.
No, I mean, for this, what suit are you going to put him in?
Are you going
to put him in the 89 suit?
One where he can turn his head.
Yeah, if he's like, finally. No, you do almost like in Batman Beyond, he had a suit that was close to that suit, so you could do like an updated version of the 80s 9. And then I'm agreeing with Travis that I think that's where I think you need him in the suit for the trailer. When you talked about Darkseid, it's a 2-minute trailer, Flashpoint, it's all looking good, and then there's just one shot of Keaton in a bat suit. That is $1 billion movie waiting to happen right there. I'm with Kevin Smith. I think even if it's just him, it's his last night, and you saw that he almost killed someone or almost died, that's him giving up. And then even then, that's the thing with Keaton, why I do believe this rumor. his shooting time, it's going to be really easy. He's just going to be the guy in the chair. He's going to have a couple scenes in the Batcave, if they do like a Batman Beyond, and then a bunch of VOD. This is such easy work for Keaton. He doesn't have to commit that much. And this is a guy who, like, out of all the actors, you look at Ben Affleck, he's done. Christian Bale, he's moved on. Val Kilmer talked about a few weeks ago how he didn't really feel like he was Batman. It was just more the character. Michael Keaton, the past few years, at a graduation speech for college, he didn't end the speech. Yeah, he didn't end the speech by giving them kind words. He said he went selfish and went, "I'm Batman." That's how he ended the speech. And then even if you look at Homecoming, in interviews he talked about when he was playing Vulture while he was doing fight scenes with Tom Holland, he had the mask on and he would say to himself to get himself hyped up, "I'm Batman." He would constantly tell himself, "I'm Batman, I'm Batman." So he's like Batman. He's fucking crazy. He still thinks he's Batman. And that's what's awesome. That's why I want him back, because out of all the people, he, I think, feels the most ownership of that role, because he was the guy that brought it to the mega mainstream, right? So that's why I feel like there's a part of him that I think he does want to do this. And I think he'd want to get in that suit one more time. Even if for one day of shooting, he'd want to put some sort of suit on.
Well, Snell, he loved the character. He was contracted to do forever, but he read the script.
He wanted to do it, yeah.
He read the script, thought it was terrible, thought they were forcing it just to make toys and money, so he backed away.
They kicked Burden out, too.
And funny thing, what you were saying about him saying that he was Batman, he went into a dry cleaners, and a guy was watching Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was crying, and he looked at the guy, the dry cleaner, who didn't know he was Michael Keaton, and he was like, "Yeah, that's Spider-Man. He's an awful pussy, isn't he?" And this guy was like kind of offended, and he was like, "Yeah, Batman would never cry." And like the guy didn't realize who he was, and he left. So, like I said, I think that's one of the roles. Well, that's the role that made him famous. That's the role that gave him everything. Sure, he got some popularity for Beetlejuice, and there was a few comedies before that, but this one really showed his acting chops, because everyone was like, "What's this comedian going to play Batman?" This was the first time, the first comic book casting where people were like, "No, I don't like it." There was even petitions signed back then, and then he's still universally loved. So I think, like you said about the trailer, you could have him walk out in the kind of like Batman Beyond suit, press a button, and his helmet comes off, like kind of like Iron Man-y, and you just see Michael Keaton's face, or he takes off the helmet and turns around, and it's Michael Keaton's face, like you said, $1 billion movie.
Yeah, and you hear the score, it's like a re-updated version of the 89 theme. Yeah, Greg, have we sold you yet? Do you want to see the suit?
I mean, I would settle for the suit. Like I said, my thing is, it all depends on what they do with the story. You know, like I said, I don't want him in a Nick Fury type role. I just don't. Like either pass the mantle on or have Batman be Batman.
So here's the question I pose to you. Let's say this DCEU, there's either no Batman at all or Michael Keaton as the older Batman Beyond Batman. You still would want no Batman at all then?
So when you're saying the older Batman Beyond Batman, you're just saying he's there and he's like Nick Fury? Like, where you only
he is like
him?
the Nick Fury. Yeah, it's either that or the option is, let's say, no Batman, no Pattinson, no like they just say, we're not going to have any Batman at all in this universe.
Well, if you mean no Pattinson at all, because Pattinson's not in this universe, right?
But that's what I mean. Like, let's say they're not going to Flashpoint him in or anything like that. Like, let's just say there's the door A of no Batman going forward, or door B of maybe Batman Beyond with a Terry McGinnis, or a Batgirl with Michael Keaton as the guy in the chair.
Oh, if there's a future with the guy in the chair, then yeah.
I think there's a future. I think he'll sign a mega like $8 billion deal for 16 movies, because this is going to be this is easy work. He could record these dialogue at home, like Ben Affleck. He trust with the Zack Snyder cut. They can send a team to his house to record this ADR. Michael Keaton can do this while he's on the set of Morbius. Well, I don't know why he's on Morbius. I'm so scared for him to be in that movie, but. Yeah.
They're making their own Sinister Six with some characters from the MCU coming over to help them.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Michael Keaton's a guy who, after Batman, and if you've not seen the movie, I definitely recommend everyone watch Birdman, because it's an artsy film, but it's very biography as far as it has a lot to do with him stepping away from, he played a superhero named Birdman, and he stepped away because he was just tired of it. And if you look at him now, he stepped away from Hollywood, and then he did Spider-Man, now he did Batman. He might be in a Sinister Six movie. This guy is everywhere now, and it's crazy how like 5-6 years can change something, and yeah, it's nuts.
He's either broke or he got the bug again, you know?
The whole Keaton thing makes me think, like, do you think we'll see Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne in Flashpoint? Because I'm hearing contradicting things on that.
I've heard the same thing, because I sent that to you days ago, and again, it's funny how just a few days change. I think he maybe, because, we've heard people say that he's still maybe in the script, and then we've heard people outright say he's not in the script anymore. That was from years ago. He's in a casting grid. Grace Randolph is getting in fights with everybody on Twitter again, so that's always fun.
I was just about to bring her up.
Yeah. So she saw some grid, and she said, no, there's a cast. I think that character is plan B if Michael Keaton falls through. That's what I think it is. I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the solid second string quarterback. Like, we didn't get Keaton? All right, we'll do the dad route. But I kind of agree with Umberto, who did break the scoop. He said that the reason Warner Brothers is favoring Keaton is just because not everybody knows the Thomas Wayne story. That might be hard to sell, but as we already talked about, everyone knows Michael Keaton's the Batman. That you don't even need to sell that. You just have a picture of Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton together on set. Everyone's sold. People were sold when they saw a combination of Tom Holland, Peter Quill, and like Tony Stark all together on the Infinity War. And you're like, look at this, all these characters. If you just see Cyborg and even just seeing Michael Keaton with this new, like a picture, imagine of just Gal Gadot and Michael Keaton together. That's gonna break the internet. That's gonna get everybody talking. I can't wait to see the most Instagram videos with Michael Keaton in a bat suit. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever. So I think he is out if Keaton's in, but if Keaton's out, he's back in. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Okay. How does he think it's gonna make Jeffrey Dean Morgan feel though? Like, hey man, sit on the back burner. If he doesn't work out, we're coming right back to you, okay? You got the spot. Like, how does it make him feel?
Well, Sean O'Connell from Cinema Blend, who's writing the Snyder Cut book, was at the London premiere for Birds of Prey, and he randomly ran into Andy Muschietti outside their hotel. They chatted for a bit, and he mentioned working on Flashpoint, and he asked him point blank, would Jeffrey Dean return? And he smiled and said, we actually have a different idea.
Okay.
So, I didn't know that. Yeah.
No, he just tweeted that out. He just tweeted that earlier today.
Really? Yeah, I didn't see that. I think it's tough because with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I would have loved to seen that, but maybe there's a part of him that is just like, he gets it because it's Michael Keaton, right? It's tough for him. How can he make that case in a room with Warner Brothers why they should pick him over Keaton, right? It might even make better sense story, but even then if Affleck's not back, what I want is the check out on Patreon right now. We have an exclusive episode up there. We reviewed Flashpoint with superhero discussions, but I would want that moment of the note given, and you see Ben Affleck, one tear roll down. If Affleck's not on this movie at all, that's why I think it's smart to go the Keaton route, because this is something new. Where Jeffrey Dean Morgan, you get no payoff with no Affleck. So I feel bad for him. I'd love to see him. He played a great Watchman. I like his Negan. I would have loved to see him as Thomas Wayne, but it's tough for me to pick him over Keaton.
Yeah, I think it would be rather similar to The Comedian, as Thomas Wayne. So I can understand him not going that route. But like you said, I would have really loved to see it. So, but if it's a choice between him and Keaton, I'll Keaton all day.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting to see for sure. But the thing is, I think it kind of touches into what you're saying there, Travis. Is it's if you do that, then you're further connecting yourself to the Snyder universe. Without that payoff, like you said, without that payoff. So, I mean, if you want to completely sever that on the big screen, then I feel like maybe you go a different direction with that. Nope. No.
I don't think they want to completely sever it though. As somebody that was like somebody that at one point was going, hey, let's move on, let's reboot and do something else. Now I've kind of seen kind of Jim Lee way of, we can make everything kind of work in this nice blender. Before I wasn't so sure, and now I'm starting to buy in that hype. Obviously, like Travis said earlier, it's all about execution, right? Or uncharted territory. The same way when Avengers did a crossover, that was the first time it happened, and it could have bombed, and we would have never got any of this ever again. It would have just been solo films. So the same way as in 3 years, if we have 4 separate Batmans, but they're all reviewed well by critics, by fans, people are enjoying them, they're making money, then Marvel made him go, hey, we could have a different Iron Man, we could have a different Spider-Man, whether you want that or not. So I think they want to cherry pick, and even with Affleck, he just maybe doesn't want to do it. They obviously are keeping Gal Gadot around. She's a moneymaker. Momoa's a moneymaker. Ezra, as somebody that I didn't think was going to get kept, all the reports today from everybody have been he's in. It's not been, we're iffy. It's he's in, right? So they clearly are maybe doing like a 50-50 of a little bit of old and a little bit new. Because as long as you have some of those actors in there, it's still connected to Snyder's verse, and they're doing Zack Snyder's Justice League, which could open up a complete other door, right? If the Snyder Cut wasn't a thing, I'd say maybe this is their way of, we're going to keep them and not talk about, but they're promoting the hell out of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Ever since that's been coming out, it's been talked about, not by fans, I'm just talking about by Warner Brothers a lot. So I don't think they're cutting from Zack Snyder right now. I think, depending how Zack Snyder's Justice League does, that door is still a little open, and they could kick it open in any second.
I think Warner Brothers and AT&T are just excited that whenever they post something now, they don't see the hashtag release the Snyder Cut under everything. Right.
Even it's just excitement.
You have hashtag you did it.
You did it.
Well, I've seen a lot of thank you AT&T and stuff, but I haven't seen any more like release the Snyder Cut. Thankfully, I know Brent from Fans Without Borders is like, yes, thank God, I can unmute that hashtag finally.
And it does feel like AT&T is like, so Zack Snyder's just like, that was a huge fan thing, and it does feel like so many people for years like, man, I want Keaton back because of Batman Beyond, and AT&T, it's almost like they looked at the top 10 Google searches for DC, like, what do fans want? Okay, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna do this. So I'm excited I can't wait to see what they do next, because they're just like this kid in a candy shop, but they have an unlimited supply of money, and they're just doing whatever they want. And the good thing is they're sharing the candy with all their friends, which is us, the fans. So I'm pretty thankful for AT&T. I'm a little worried about them trying to sell off some video game stuff, but as far as the movie side, I'm pretty excited about the future of anything DC. So.
Yeah. They must have went into the boardroom with WB execs and were like, wait, you have all these characters and you're only allowed to have them on either movies or TV, not both? Why?
We're going to change that.
Yeah.
Let's fix that. But
actually, take the extra money.
Yeah, that actually brings us to the next point. You're talking about them bringing it into games, right? Because y'all had some news about games. I didn't get a chance to check it out before we got on here, but y'all looked at some new stuff. Whichever one wants to talk about games.
Snell, bring it in.
Yeah, so there's obviously DC FANDOME is happening, and there's been rumors, well, not even rumors, that they're going to have announcements of TV shows, movies, and video games, and there's been a long rumored Batman game for a while. It's almost a meme now that every time an E3 comes up, a big event, there's some stupid scooper blogger that's like, oh, something's coming, and this has been for 5 years and nothing happens. It's just the team always comes out and says, like, we can't wait to share it, but it's not yet. So there is a rumor going around that the Batman game, and it's tentatively titled Batman Gotham Knights, or Night, something like that, and the rumor is you can play as Batman but also as a Batgirl, Robin, maybe Red Hood, maybe it's like a collection of characters. But now there's also rumor it's not a different game in the sense of, oh, that game doesn't exist. It's two separate games, as there's the Batman game, which is kind of a spiritual successor to the Arkham games, and now a Suicide Squad game. There's no talk about what the gameplay is, how it functions, who the characters even are. It's just there's been rumors about it being made, and there's a lot of domain names being taken right now. The tentative title, the working title, is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. So that is, I guess, putting out that the Justice League will be in this game. I said to you guys in the chat, I don't think they'll go with that title just for marketing purposes. But, Travis, what were you going to say there?
They could have the Justice League as the villains.
I think so, yeah. And that would be some really fun boss battles.
You could just change it to Suicide Squad v Justice League.
Exactly. I think that's what they would do. So I think they'll keep Justice League in the title, but kills is just like, that's a super strong word to have in a game, especially like right now. So I just feel they don't want that. But I don't know what it would be. It caught me off guard, but I'm just excited to get any more kind of superhero games in general, whether it's Dark Horse, DC, Image, Marvel. There's just not enough of them out there for a franchise that's taking over the movie and sometimes TV industry. It's a very light genre. So, and I think Suicide Squad, I know, Travis, you're probably going to throw out some ideas. There's a lot of potential routes you could go, and I would imagine Deadshot and Harley would be in there. Those are two popular characters, especially Harley. So I am very excited for August 22nd, and I hope these rumors are real, because I think that could be something very different.
Yeah, you could go the X-Men Legends route, where you just pick up characters along the way, and you 4 people going at once fighting, because Suicide Squad is multiple people. It's not like the I'm trying to think, the Lego games, the Lego Marvel games, where you can switch out the characters. So
like Marvel Ultimate Alliance type deal?
Yeah, type deal. Same thing. X-Men Legends had 4. You could play as 4 people at the same time and go along. That's the first games that I played like that.
And then you could unlock the Justice League as playable characters near the end of the game if you wanted.
That would be good too. You could have a battle component. There could be a lot of stuff. I think I've said this to you multiple times. I think this market is underutilized by both DC and Marvel. I'm waiting for the first one of those two to build their own game universe, kind of like movie universe or television universe, where you have you'll have a just for Marvel's sake, an Iron Man game, a Captain America game, and build up to the Avengers. You could have the same thing here. Like, I would love, like, not only a Batman game, but I'm begging for a Superman game.
Yeah.
The last Superman game I remember is Superman 64, which was a dumpster fire. I actually bought that game. So excited. You can only get one game on your birthday. One game. And, it gotta be Superman. That's gonna be such an amazing game. There's no such thing as YouTube reviews or anything like that back when that game was put out.
How did we live?
It was a giant pile of poop. It was terrible. And we haven't, I think with the Dragon Ball Z game that came out this past year, that gives you somewhat of an idea of the kind of gaming engine you can have for open world Superman flying around type deal. You know, there's obviously going to be some variations on it, but I still think that could be the way to go. And I just want to see Superman done right, but I also think you could do a Flash game, and it could be great, like, with his elements of speed. A Green Lantern game, I think you could do, and you could learn different constructs. You go along, Greg.
They already did that. It was pretty cool. It's a good game.
And, yeah, not the one based on the movie.
I mean, it was a fun game.
You love everything about that movie. Everything about that movie.
I do.
You're the biggest supporter in the world.
I do. But the game wasn't bad. I mean, you had constructs. You could do all kinds of fun stuff. It wasn't the best game ever, but it wasn't bad.
But, yeah, you could do the Wonder Woman game, I think, would do gangbusters if done right. Then you could build them all together and have a Justice League game. You could actually have an in-credit scene for every game. I can't believe this stuff is not being done, to be honest with you. Like, when the Batman game ends, have an end credit scene that leads into the next game, or leads into whatever's going to happen, like the great crisis that's coming. And then you have the Superman game, and you do the exact same thing at the end when you flash all the credits of everyone that worked on the game, because everybody hates, like, waiting through that. You could be like, wait, I heard that there was an end credit scene after the game. And that would get people's buzz going as well. And you build into it. But I'm just surprised they haven't took this route yet, because this is a medium that, especially with the way COVID's going to change the way people interact at a person-to-person, way they go to the theater. I know I'll be hesitant to go to the theater when it opens up. I'll probably look for times earlier in the day, maybe take a day off and go bright and early when there's less people. I don't even know how the capacity will go, but I think that games will be, especially with the PlayStation 5, like how popular that release was for Sony. They learned from their mistakes, and that release they had just a few weeks ago was, like, it blew up my phone. It was trending worldwide. So I just think that it's just such an underutilized market, and I really hope they finally start doing stuff, both DC and Marvel, because I'm a fan of both.
Yeah. What if they took your idea you'll have right here, where you build different characters, and like you said, at the end of each game, there's a trailer for the next game, but for the cases for the game, they made them a puzzle piece. And every time you bought a game, you could match the puzzle pieces, and when you finally got all the puzzle pieces together, you got a code to play a exclusive Justice League game. That's
You're talking like Da Vinci Code shit. That is that's some prime. That's some prime marketing. I don't think they would put a game on the line, but I think they could put like a character. If you own every single game, you could play the Justice League with like Martian Manhunter. Like you could do an add-on. The full game, they definitely want you to be thrown down another $60 to $80. They're not going to give that away. So, but that would be fun. And hopefully with this, we have the Suicide Squad game possibly rumored, and then I'm hoping it's good. I cross my fingers with that Avengers game. It's been an iffy marketing stretch, but if it at least is good, I think we could be in business. And again, though, but maybe DC might do it better, because Avengers, that game kind of has had a rough start, so maybe Suicide Squad right off the gate could look and see what they did. Maybe it's like that game where it is, you are just playing, here's your 5 Suicide Squad members, and you're just playing as these characters on missions, and that's it. But that could still be fun depending on the roster. Like I said, other than Deadshot and Harley Quinn, I think there's lots of routes they could go. I think probably maybe Captain Boomerang's another popular one. I think that could be a fun moveset, but even then, there's tons of characters they could throw in there, so.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. It's going to be exciting. I mean, once again, it's PS5, so I'm not thinking about anything new on PS4 anymore. I've just got to start looking forward to playing PS5 in like 2 years when I can afford one. So, it'll be fun. But, was there anything else you want to bring up about games? There's only one more news topic, and then we can hop into whatever.
Let's get into DC fandom, Greg.
Okay, let's talk about DC fandom. So just real quick recap. We talked about it a little bit before, and it's basically a free event, 24 hours, August 22nd, starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time. full 24 hours. You're going to have full access to everything in there. So it's going to include Flash, Batman, Lucifer, Watchmen, Stargirl, Black Lightning, Legends, Doom Patrol, Titans, Harley Quinn, Pennyworth, Stargirl, Teen Titans Go, Young Justice, Aquaman, Batman, Black Adam from the big screen, Shazam, the Snyder Cut stuff, Suicide Squad 2 information, and Wonder Woman 84. They're covering pretty much everything there is DC that you can watch right now, which is fantastic. It's going to be so awesome. Is there any new news y'all know about this that we haven't covered so far?
Not really. We covered it on the Super Civil Servants. I don't think we covered it on DC Alliance.
I think we spoke about it last week, but we didn't cover a whole lot. Yeah.
I'm just excited. I think there's so many things we could get. We could get some first footage from the Batman. I really think just because, like, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he doesn't, like, give up his time for nothing. Mm-hmm. I think we may actually see a first look of him in the costume.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I think he could even show up in the chat wearing the costume. I actually could. I actually feel like we're going to get our first look at him in the costume because all we've had is that Boss Logic, Jim Lee mashup. That's the only thing for years. He keeps sharing that, and I'm like, just give me something new.
Show me, yeah.
This picture moves now. It's like, I know, but I want to see you in it, you know, so.
I think we'll get the final trailer for Wonder Woman 84, the story trailer. I think
Let's hope it's the final trailer.
I think we'll get the Suicide Squad, a trailer from the Suicide Squad with James Gunn. I think we'll get one from that as well. And I think we'll get a trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League from that. And there's all other panels, and there's even TV. They're doing all in on TV shows. There's a lot of them we're not going to see any previews for because of COVID. They haven't been filming. But there's going to be stuff like wherever Stargirl is in terms of the episodes for the show, they'll probably show a trailer for the last episode or two. Doom Patrol, same thing. Like whatever episodes they have coming up, they'll show a trailer for. I think we'll get the actual release date for Young Justice Outsiders as well. And there is news on Titans too, but they haven't got back to filming yet either because everything is shut down and they film in Toronto. Right. And Canada's still putting kibosh on a lot of things.
Are y'all gonna check it out? Are you just gonna feed from the news that comes out of it? Because it's basically gonna be a lot of news coming out of it as soon as stuff hits, just like with a Comic-Con. But now you actually get the opportunity to go kind of check out what's going on there. You know,
one, if I wasn't doing this, I would be checking out wholeheartedly because I think Travis hits the nail on the head. There's a lot of that type of stuff that will be confirmed and shown. I do think it's kind of suspicious, not to bring it up, but that the Michael Keaton news is breaking at the end of June, and then in kind of a month or two from now we have this. You could easily see a Zoom chat of Ezra Miller. Imagine, that's the thing I wish we had a crowd, because I hope we get a crowd in a few years and we get to see Michael Keaton walk out at Comic-Con with a bunch of people who are DC fandom, but you could have a Zoom call with Ezra Miller and Andy Muschietti. They're talking about this movie, and they go, oh, we also have just one other person that we want to bring in just to talk about this for a little bit. And then, boom, Michael Keaton comes up on that screen. That chat blows up. So I think the timing of it seems a little strange. So I think they're trying to lock down contracts right now. I think, like he said, all those TV shows. It sucks that Titans isn't going because I'd like to know. I know they've kind of talked about where season 3 is going, but a little bit more on that, even a teaser. I think Suicide Squad, the only thing I'd push back is I think it'll be a shorter teaser, not a full trailer. I think it'll be like a minute 12, kind of like what the David Ayer one was originally at Comic-Con, as far as like just show you little flashes. We didn't even know what the story was. We'll finally get confirmation of who John Cena is playing, who the characters, because we pretty much know, but even James Gunn is still like, oh, you gotta wait and see, you know, like don't look at the set photos. So I think they'll do the official, here's the press release. I think two other things you could get with the Batman is if you don't get footage, you could get the first look of the Riddler and Catwoman in their costumes, because Zoe Kravitz said if they were filming already, she said, and who knows, it's just an actress, but she said it would have been out by now. Like, we would have seen it if we were filming. So they may drop those two. I don't know how much of the costume the Riddler's really going to have in that movie. I think it's going to be really kind of Heath Ledger Joker low-key, but I think she's going to have a great costume. And yeah, I think there'll be some maybe other surprise announcements. I'm not saying like all day, 24/7 it's going to be happening, but I could see, like, even though we know about Keaton, him being confirmed, I count as a surprise announcement, something they're not advertising. So I think that, and the last thing before you go, Travis, we're going to be doing coverage that day. Usually we do, like, shows like, oh, Monday, Tuesday, that day we will do some sort of, I think even with a crossover Geekverse, because if it is 24 hours, and if there is lots of trailers, lots of news, there's tons of breakdowns. So mark down that day, because we'll be doing, like, lots of live breakdown stuff, and I'm excited to just see all that stuff with you guys.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do some live reactions to some of the trailers as well. Who knows?
100%.
I like that idea.
I got the live factor.
The one thing I was thinking too, I read a lot of things today saying that the Keaton news was going to be held until DC FANDOME, but word started leaking out about it. Now, like Snell said, that could just be Keaton. Keaton's camp leaking out for more money and just seeing they know how people will go crazy for it, or it could just been some scoopers with some inside info and then going and running with that. You don't know, but the word that I've read is that this was supposed to be held until DC FANDOME, but word started getting leaking out as of yesterday, and it was a race to get it out.
Yeah. Travis, you missed a key point for a joke earlier, man, when you were talking about them not releasing points of John Cena or set photos of John Cena. Like, you can't see him. That's what they should have said. Of course, you can't see John Cena, right? And that is this little thing he did. But, no, I'm excited for, sorry, my wife loves John Cena, but I'm excited for this for sure. I think that we do get the final Wonder Woman trailer. I think that they're holding any kind of cheetah release for that, and I agree with Chris Balga talking about it the other day that it's just going to be real quick. I don't want to see a full thing. I really want to see what it looks like, but just something kind of a quick teaser, a silhouette with it, maybe a little bit of the face would be right there on the money. Just last, shot of the trailer. I'm excited for that. Dude, you really excited me with Black Adam in his suit. The Rock wearing that suit, because that would be really, really fun to see. I don't know, man. I'm super excited for all this stuff.
It's been years now. They should have at least a prototype suit done up for him. I know his muscles probably get bigger and bigger every year, you got to change the suit. Dimensions of the suit.
He's always working out hard, but he specifically said he's going to go even harder for this film, and he's so big, I worry he's just going to explode one day, And that's where it's just like, if he's saying he's going to get bigger than what he is normally, I can't even shudder to think what Black Adam, and Black Adam is a movie, it's been in development hell for years, but I'm so happy it's actually happening. That's a movie that I'm so low-key excited for all this talk about, like, the Justice Society being in it being a prequel, all these things. Like, anytime you talk about possible rumors of Dr. Fate being anything, you got me hooked. So I would love maybe that even too, confirming some other characters and whatnot, maybe the kind of the plot, because the word is that it's kind of a prequel, but the general public doesn't know that. They don't know much about Black Adam. Most people don't know that he is connected to Shazam, so I think you'll get me even more information. I'm very excited for Black Adam, and I think that could be a big hit for them.
Yeah. Well, Zachary Levi is confirmed to be there as well for DC FANDOME, so you could get some sort of him in the Rock thing.
I think so. I think even if they're not going to announce, hey, I'm in Shazam 2, or hey, we're doing a movie, just a fun back and forth of just kind of like hinting and nodding and like, hey, maybe I'll see you one day, and like, oh, maybe you will. Like, I think they could have lots of fun. That's what I'm wondering. The only thing with this 24 hours, I'm wondering if it's going to be a schedule of this time is the Batman's hour, this time is that, or if it is just a, hey, click here and click there. I think they'd be better to do the scheduling, because if they just, let's say it goes live and they just have all the news there, Michael Keaton, Black Adam suit, that I think is very poor, because things will get lost, people will get confused. But if you space it out of, like, big announcement, then maybe a few more trailers, maybe some news on Harley Quinn season 3, like news that is big but not as big, or just comic book stuff too. I think that's the route they go, is, check out hour 5 for Black Adam. It's an hour of, or it's half an hour of The Rock. And I hope they go that route.
I hope that you're right on that. I did see a few pictures of, like, a kind of like a world with like different, like, DC Comics, DC, like, all different things, but I'm hoping that they do go, you're right, which is, alright, this hour is going to be about the Batman, this hour is going to be about, because you could do almost 24 hours, because especially with the TV shows, you could be like, DCCW has 3 hours here with all its shows, and then, like, you don't have to have people there waiting, and you could also, if you schedule it out, you'll avoid it's a better chance of avoiding, like, everything crashing if you have too many people.
Logging in. Sucks so much.
Because I mean, like, but having AT&T is a huge help for that, I think, because I think going it alone is a lot more difficult than having an ISP behind you, which can probably avoid that whole crashing thing.
Well, my question is, if you set it up like that, where you have times for everything, like you said, like tune in at 5 o'clock for the Black Adam, whatever. Does that mean after that segment has come on, that you can get on any time and check that segment out, or if you don't see it then you miss it?
No, I think they do the same way like Travis Snell. They had these kind of worlds, almost like a theme park. When I saw that, I was scared because I thought, oh, you're just going to be able to go everywhere. But I bet you would, let's say, go to DC Films, and let's say there's a room and it's like Zack Snyder's Syder Cut or Justice League, and you click on it and it says unlocks in 4 hours or something like that, and there's like a countdown. It's the same way when you buy video games. I bought Last of Us 2 weeks ago, and it was preload ready to go, but there's always a clicker of it's counting down when you can play it. And I think they would do that of, hey, Zack Snyder's content will be here at this time, or it's, going to unlock in these few hours, and then it's just that room's accessible as much as you want. Obviously, I think once the day is over, they're going to kick everything to YouTube as well to get those views and Twitter and whatnot. They got a good social media game, so I think that's the route they should go. Is it's almost like a line. You're waiting for the showtime to start, and then you get a little breather, and then you go on to see something else. I think they're smart enough to do that, because if it is a barrage of news, that could be a dangerous mountain to climb. So. Right.
If they do this right, it could be 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times as big as what Sony did with their PlayStation 5 release. I think if just planned right and done it right, I think it could be perfect.
And we talked about this on Marvel Alliance because we were talking about if Marvel does something like this in the future. If this goes well, I see this being a staple that they may never go back to Comic-Con, or they'll be there in a lighter way. DC Fandom could be, even if they don't do it every year, D23 happens bi-yearly. They do it and then they take a break. So maybe they do that where they release a bunch of news, wait a year and a half, collect a bunch of news, and then drop it again. You don't have to do that. The same way Marvel goes to Comic-Con on their off years in D23, right? So I think this is huge potential, especially right now. The fandom, I think, is at all-time high all around, with whether we've talked about all the sections of DC, I think, are pretty happy. There's always some fucking troll on the internet somewhere whining about something, but it's just like, I don't know, then go back and watch 66 Batman. It's still there for you, So, I'm not saying you can't dislike stuff, but I'm just saying, like, right now there's so much content. There has to be something you don't like, and if not, eventually it'll happen. Eventually in 2 years they'll announce a character, an actor, a project that you will enjoy, so.
Right. 100%, man. Mm-hmm. But yeah, dude, DC Fandome. I keep saying Fandom. Sounds awesome. Too, yeah. I can't wait to do it. August 22nd. Starts, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is like, it's like
10 p.m. or a.m.?
10 a.m., sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like,
that's a bold strategy, Cotton.
That's like 1 o'clock. That's like 1 o'clock my time. Dang, okay.
Anytime you get a dodgeball reference in here, we won the day. We won the day.
But that pretty much covers up all the news, fellas. I don't really have anything else for us. All we really got left is we're going to talk about Doom Patrol for real quick, and then do Stargirl. Travis, are you able to stick with us for a few minutes and talk Doom Patrol? Or
I gotta go because we went a little over, and I thank these guys for having me on. I did not plan this at all. I got chilled and I got put to sleep. I can already hear them out there being little tornadoes of nightmares. But one time I will. I promise you. I'm gonna try and make this promise. The next time on the show, I have watched Stargirl, and then I can actually comment on it and whatnot. But it was a thrill. I'll be excited for when you guys, as always, as far as Marvel Alliance are open anytime. We'll do the crossover episode at some point. But thank you guys for all having me on. I can't wait to listen to the rest of it later on.
Definitely,
Thanks
man.
for being here, man.
Real quick, tell them they can find you at.
Travis B. Snell. You can find my stuff on Geekverse. We're doing a Christopher Nolan retro, watching every single Christopher Nolan movie, and then Marvel Alliance every Monday. And yeah, lots of stuff. You can check out my Last of Us Part 2 review. I just did a 2-hour solo review, my longest review yet, and it was a hot one because this room is getting muggy here in Kelowna. So as always, check me there. I'm down to talk about anything, and I love listening to the show, and you guys are doing a great job. So I'm excited to listen to the rest of it later on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and thanks once again for coming on. It's always great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.
Chris, you can come here too and do an episode with us. We know that the content for Marvel in terms of news is short these days, so you can come here. Probably next week we'll get Jack Nicholson reprising his role, and you can come talk with us.
We'll see. We have to check contracts. We'll see. We might have him on a 6-picture deal with Marvel before he can do anything else, right?
Exclusive.
Yeah, the contract is he has to put on 40 pounds before he can go to DC Alliance, like the Ben Affleck. So.
I guarantee you pay $1 million. He'll do it. Do all his training with him. He'll do it.
Oh, we would. We should be the most jacked podcast. Any sponsors out there, if you just want to pay us, I'll work out to get paid. It'd be great. So
I'll do it.
Protein powder sponsors anytime.
Exactly. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, bud.
Later, bud.
Okay, bye.
All right. So that's actually a good time if you want to talk about it. I'll go ahead and put a break in here. If you folks want to take a break, we're going to go to an ad, and then we'll come back and we'll do some reviews, and we'll get out of here. All right, folks, we're back, and during that break, Travis and I were having a discussion, and there's a couple things we're going to change about the show structure this week. We were planning on doing a Doom Patrol Season 1 kind of review, not really long, just what we liked, what we didn't like, things we're looking forward to in the future, and we were going to do our character deep dive. However, we had so much news this week, we've already run so long with it, we're going to punt both of those till next week. So we are doing the deep dive, especially because Travis and I both wrote like 2.5-page book reports on these characters already anyway, so we're definitely doing them. And next week we're focusing on Doom Patrol a little more because Season 2 is going to be out. We're going to be able to watch the first 3 episodes so we can kind of give a recap of 1, talk about the first 3 episodes of Season 2, so it makes a little more sense to punt that next week. But if you want to hear us talk about Doom Patrol Season 1, check out the latest episode of Super Civil Service Podcast. We covered that last week with a lot of great people, Chris and Sarah and me and Travis, and we had special guest, legendary Bearded Greek Eric there was with us, and we were talking about Doom Patrol Season 1. So we had a lot more stuff to talk about as well, but that was one of our main topics. So if you want to check that out, and we're going to go ahead and start talking about Stargirl now. So, go ahead.
Yeah, Stargirl episode 5 of Season 1, Our Man and Dr. Midnight. Just a little overview of that is Pat finds himself one step closer to learning which ISA members may be in Blue Valley, and a search for Rick leads Courtney, Yolanda, and Beth to Sydney Bauman's Halloween party.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, overall thoughts, man. I'm really enjoying this show. It seems like every episode just gets better and better, and it's one of those ones where I've been waiting until Friday to watch it because we always covered on Super Civil Servants, but I want to watch it now as soon as it comes out because I'm so excited to see what happens next. The show's blowing me away. This episode was very interesting. We introduced 2 new characters, or at least 2 new recruits that she has on there, which is pretty cool. Picks up from the last episode with Beth, and then you get introduced to Rick. Rick is more of a main focal point of this episode, but I'm not liking his character so far, but I think that's kind of the way I'm supposed to, and me and Travis talked about this before, and we'll get a little more into it in a little bit. But overall, at this point, this was one of the best episodes. This is a show I can say every time a new episode comes out, I can say, okay, that's the best episode so far. So at this point, this was the best episode I've seen so far. You?
Yeah, Greg, I love this episode too. And like you said, I love this show. I was completely not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I kind of thought it was going to be like campy, like the later seasons of Legends, or I don't even know. I spent like the first 10 minutes before we started recording trying to convince Travis Snell to start watching the show because it's great. Yeah. And it seems like everything he's been watching lately, he hasn't been enjoying. So I just wanted to see because I think this is fantastic. Like you said, Rick Tyler, I really enjoyed the character. I really enjoyed the opening scene where we got Rex Tyler having to leave and give up his son to his sister's brother, Matt. Rick Tyler became Rick Harris. The one thing I'll say is we've only gotten blurred shots of Solomon Grundy so far.
Right.
We haven't gotten a full shot, and I'm really curious to see how he actually looks. Like, I think this is their only fully CGI character, because they even have part of Stripe built. Yeah. They have part of Stripe built. So, I'm curious. I don't know. They're kind of they're building the anticipation to it, and I'm just hoping it pays off. I wonder if it'll be. I can remember I wasn't even watching Supergirl currently, and then I want to say episode 109 or 110, Martian Manhunter was shown, and his appearance, the way he looked, got me into the show.
Yeah.
I immediately jumped in because I was like, okay, if they're putting this kind of money and resources into showing this character, I'm gonna be excited.
Oh. What makes you wonder about what their budget is for it? I don't know what the budget of the show is, but I'm sure they're saving it for a big shot. I mean, because like you said, you haven't seen him yet, and I hope they don't go the route of never really showing him, which I don't think they will because the show hasn't disappointed yet. But you never know what's going to happen.
I think that we will eventually get a showdown between Rick and Solomon Grundy.
I think so,
because he's the one that killed his parents, and we learned that by the end of this episode. We'll get into that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed a ton from this episode. I really hate the uncle who says to him, "Do you know what I could have been if I didn't have you?" Instead, he's just a drunk at the local bar hitting on waitresses.
Right. I love the comeback line there too. He's like, "Oh, what would you have been what do you say, a Silicon Valley millionaire?"
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he would have.
Did you notice the Young Justice Easter egg in the episode? I'm a little curious.
I did not.
There's when they're recruiting, when Yolanda and Courtney are recruiting, Yolanda says, "What about this girl who tackles a guy?"
Mm-hmm.
That girl is named Artemis.
Yes. Okay. Now, I noticed that in the next episode.
And
okay.
she is the daughter of Sportsmaster and Tigress, which is the same kind of thing in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I love the way they played that into it. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about the next episode. Next episode's good. But.
So I was just like, whoa, Young Justice vibes there. I love that. And the other thing, I've been talking a little bit with Brent from Fans Without Border and Marvel's podcast. The janitor, I think the janitor is either an old JSA member or somebody that's current, like maybe a Dr. Fate type deal. Because he says, "Careful, there are dragons in the water."
Mm-hmm. And I 100% agree, because you don't focus on like a past by character like that without him being something in the future. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. He's something, and that would be a great thing if he was an old JSA member, something like that. Only time will tell with it, I suppose. What do you think about Our Man's power? Like I mean, not so much like what he does, but like the way they portrayed it, as far as when he turns the hourglass over and then it kind of, you see the energy kind of absorb into his body. I thought that looked awesome.
I did too. I thought it was fantastic. I loved how the hourglass lit up when he came to help Courtney and Pat, and then it stopped. Well, it seemed like it stopped being lit when he turned his back on him and walked away. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just in the vicinity or if he wasn't doing the right thing, but I really enjoyed that. I think that Courtney and Pat has to communicate a lot better, and we may get that going forward. Right. Hint, hint, foreshadowing. But I actually wrote that down as a note. I got to ask you, what did you think about Beth and her utilization of the Dr. Midnight glasses?
I liked Beth as a character on here, especially in that character as Dr. Midnight. I think she could play that role really well. The suit's got to have some work, but that's next episode. We'll talk about that. But I didn't like in this show how dismissive Courtney and Yolanda are of Beth at first. It just seems like two girls who have trouble making friends or don't really get along with everybody wouldn't push somebody away like that, because it seems like the entire time she's there, they're just very dismissive. And, we discussed this before, and maybe it's because Courtney didn't pick her and she's trying to pick a team, and I get that, but whether you picked her or not, she got picked. like that, she's there and she's doing it, and it's not like you can take it away from her or expect her to never say anything. I just don't get why they're so dismissive of her. It seems very, very different from the point of view that they're trying to be the whole show. Yeah.
It's like they're trying to be people not like your average teenager, is what you're saying. And in this circumstance they are, but I will say Beth is a little annoying. The character's not, I enjoy the character. I'm just saying the way they're portraying it is that she's a little annoying to people and she don't stop talking. Mm-hmm. And even her parents are trying to have little to do with her, pushing her out, like don't want to eat with her, telling her she should have friends and all that. In the earlier episodes, we had a lot of that shown in the first few episodes. And Yolanda even says that people say that Beth's superpower is talking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it is, yeah.
And we get even more, we find a perfect partner for her with the glasses, and Charles, Chuck,
yeah.
as she calls him. I really enjoyed those. I really enjoyed how Rick Tyler saw what actually happened to his parents from the glasses.
That was pretty cool.
I said on Super Civil Servants, it was very similar. It really reminded me a lot of Iron Man in Civil War, seeing what actually happened to his parents for the first time. The difference was the person that killed his parents was right there next to him, whereas this, he only sees the monster and finds out his name is Solomon Grundy, but he can't do nothing about it. He's just peed off. So I just love that, and also Beth throwing down the glasses and being like she was having so much fun with it, but now she's starting to see the consequences and like the actual seriousness of everything.
All right. Oh yeah, and they definitely have a rude awakening about what's going on in the future and start to learn things. But that moment where Rick sees his death of his parents, that's that crux moment where he decides this is what he's going to do. Before, it was just his. He had it, he's going to take it and do whatever he want to do with it. And now he realizes that this is what he needs to do. And, he's at least starting to want to be part of the team. And it may have somewhat selfish, motives, but, it's really not. It's what you want to do. You want to avenge your parents, especially if you found somebody killed them. But, good.
Well, he's in a little bit different camp than Courtney. Courtney wants justice for what happened to the Justice Society and her father, whereas Rick says, no, I don't want justice, I want revenge.
Mm-hmm. Very good point.
Ultimately, he's going to have to get over that need for revenge by the end of the season. I think that'll be the growth of his character.
Mm-hmm.
He'll come to accept it and be okay with being our man and not seeking revenge and to kill the Justice Society.
Right.
But I think that'll be slow go. I think there's going to be some problems going forward.
Well, we were talking earlier before we started recording about the character of Rick and how I just don't like the character's attitude, but it's not necessarily that the actor's playing it bad or whatever. It's just that I just don't like when characters are like that. It's not, I get it's for the story. I'm just ready for them to get out of that mode. And okay, I'm hero mode. And I guess I got a little anxious and I was like, I just don't like that he hasn't jumped on board yet. But then again, we were talking about it. It's only been a few days in this and he's gone through an entire life of his parents being killed and living with an abusive uncle. So it's kind of, for me, it's not I guess it's my fault that I'm wanting him to get over that in a few days. So I get that. So
I'm going to be honest with you, Greg. I'm a little impressed that he just punched his truck. Because you could tell he was debating going in there and getting him a couple times.
I'm not gonna lie, I would have gone in there.
Same. It would have been hard for me not to. Mm-hmm. I would have probably worried about my own identity showing, but I don't know. I can't really say that if you have it's openly said at the earlier part of this episode that his uncle, he said, "Take a swing at me. I'll put you on your ass like I did before, like I've always did," or something like that.
Yep.
So I can see why you want to do that. So him not even going in and fighting him shows me that he has the potential there to be the character that you want him to be.
Right.
And I think that he will reach that eventually.
Yeah, I don't think that we're done with the uncle. I think that's going to be the point where he kind of frees himself from that mindset. I think when he frees himself from his uncle, and I think he is going to knock his uncle on his ass. But I think he's going to do it without the hourglass. Yeah. That's going to be the thing, because if he does it with the hourglass, you could kill him. I think he's going to do it without the hourglass, and he's going to realize, it's part of the story. He's going to realize he has people that care about him, and he'll start being more of the character. I feel like he can be. I mean, we'll talk about the costume next episode, but I think it looks awesome. But let's see, what else for this one?
I think that's about it, but I think that you just led us right into the next episode.
Yeah, next episode, which is the Justice Society.
Courtney makes a difficult decision after Pat confronts her about the potential consequences of recruiting new members to the JSA. Courtney, Yolanda, Beth, and Rick prepare for their first major mission.
Yep.
So, Greg, right off the top, what do you think?
Right off the top, man, new favorite episode. We get to have an awesome battle scene in this one. I get to see more characters in costume. I get to meet new villains. We get to see some character growth. This is the episode that I would tell people, if you're not liking this show after this episode, you're not going to like this show, because it's only going to get cooler from here, I feel. And they've really, really hit a home run getting to this point. It's very well deserved, the praise for this episode, I think.
Amen, brother. I love this episode. It was probably my favorite episode of this season so far. I cannot believe that we actually have a live-action version of Sportsmaster.
Yes.
I can't believe it. And it was done good.
It was
done well. It wasn't it was perfect. And I'm blown away. The level of care they've done with these episodes and these characters, I'm just really rather impressed. They spend, I want to say, 75% of this episode building up, well, not 75%, but they spend a lot of time building up Sportsmaster and Tigress.
Mm-hmm.
And they also do a little bit more building up of Artemis than I thought they would.
Right.
Which means that I think that eventually she will come into play, potentially as a JSA member in the future. Probably not the first season, but I think there's definitely she could also go to the dark side depending on what happens to her parents and how it happens, if it's at the hands of the JSA or not.
Yep.
But I really think that them focusing on her so much opens up the door for us to get her eventually.
And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen in the first season, but I think it is something they set up for the second season. And it may be a character arc where she starts out bad and ends up being good, or she may just stay bad. Who knows? But you could definitely tell that throughout most of this episode, it was her and her parents getting along. Whatever her parents said, she was like, yeah, and they support her and everything else. And then there's the moment where Tigress and Sportsmaster were leaving to go on the mission because they'd just been activated. And you can see that kind of separation of, well, you guys don't normally do this, or this is not right. And you could see that one fragment of time where she doubted what her parents were doing, because it seemed like before that she was all into whatever her parents were doing. Yeah. So they definitely set it up like that, I think.
Well, something tells me if she found out what her parents did with the 3 coaches that were starting in 2 years, I think that she might have something to say about it. But I also love how badass they showed her to be. And just for some side notes, I've seen multiple videos in the last 2 years of women playing on men's football teams in high school. One being a quarterback, one being a kicker, and one being I want to say offensive tackle. And there are instances, even me speaking from I played sports all my life, several different sports, and I've played ice hockey, which is a rough competitive sport, very similar to football, and we have a house league, which is comprised of about, I want to say, 80 to 100 kids, and from that, a team of 20 is picked for an all-star team that travels to the island playing different teams from different towns. And multiple times throughout my, I want to say, 12-year run playing minor hockey, we had girls on our team, and they were not just put on the team just because.
Right. They earned their spot. Yeah.
They were better than the other 60 guys that were in the house league.
Yeah.
And the people that scoffed at Artemis being so good at football, I'm telling you, especially like my first cousin made all-star teams, was amazing. She played with us growing up to the point where like you'd shove her into the ground just as you would your older guy cousin. She'd get back up, skilled. So this stuff is actually possible. To the person who scoffs at this, I just want to say that, because I know there are people out there that think like, there's no way she could play with the men. I'm just telling you from personal experience that they are out there. It's not like it's 1 in every 10 girls, but there are there are special cases where they can hang with the men in men's sports.
And 100%.
This is one of those cases, and I loved it, Greg. I really enjoyed it.
And they show the opposite side of that coin, what you're talking about, people who don't believe that, in this show. Because the episode opens up at a football game, and you see the quarterback, and I want to say too, that, okay, they're at practice, quarterback has red shirt, okay? It's a red shirt for a reason.
Yeah.
That, like, okay, now she ends up scoring a touchdown, okay, and she gets a late hit, but that's not what I'm talking about. If you watch the whole play, they're going to try to tackle her the whole play. You don't tackle the red shirt. The whole time she's playing, they're trying to tackle her. And I'm like, what's the point of her wearing the red shirt? Like, that's the point of it.
Well, you think Tom Brady gets tackled or Cam Newton got tackled in practice? No, right. You protect your quarterback.
Cam probably did. We never protected that quarterback. But
in the games, and the refs have just as much to do with that as your own team, because they ref Cam differently. Okay, that's our sports segment for this evening.
But yeah, so she ends up scoring a touchdown, and this guy, I guess, I don't know if he was or whatever, but comes up to her, starts talking trash to her, even though she just pretty much showed everybody up. And he hit her with a super late hit, because she'd beat him, and, she scored a touchdown, super late hit, and she knocks him out, which is awesome. Because I was kind of hoping she was going to do that. I was like, please punch him, please punch him, please punch him. But she did, and her parents were in the stands, Sportsmaster.
And they loved it.
Yeah, 100%. And the coach didn't. Which, I don't know what the coach's problem was. I would have supported her, but I guess to a certain extent he does have to have some kind of control over the team, and but that guy deserved it. That was a dirty late hit. Guy deserved it.
Big time.
But they actually end up killing the coach, which kind of surprised me. Just killed him in the parking lot with a baseball bat, Sportsmaster and Tigress, and I did not see that coming at all.
Same.
Yeah. And then, Icicle comes up to him later and he keeps telling him, he's like, I gotta quit replacing, you gotta stop. I can't keep replacing these coaches. That's 3 in 2 years or something like that. So.
Well, the principal tells on them who is the fiddler, I guess, is what, yes. And she took over for her husband, I want to say. That was shared in this episode when they were having the meeting. Mm-hmm. The Sportsmaster and Tigress actually say, your husband could have woken him up with that violin, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they said that. No, I thought that was a shot at them for killing the wife, because they said his wife could have.
No, they said they said that her husband could have woken him up because I don't know how he died, but she got the violin from him.
Okay.
So she's not the first person to be using it.
Okay. Huh. Maybe I was wrong about that. The Courtney and Pat part about this, because I loved how it starts out where Pat is sitting in her bedroom and she comes, flying in on the staff. And I love how when she turns the lights on and realizes Pat's there, the staff scurries under the bed like a scared dog.
I wrote that down exactly. I said I love how the staff hides from Pat when Courtney's confronted.
Yeah, it was so cool to see that. I was like, oh, that's cute. But yeah, he's basically confronting her and he realizes what she's doing, recruiting a team. And he's trying to tell her, how she's going to end up. And then he brings up the name Joey Zarek.
Yeah.
Zarek? Yeah, Joey Zarek, which is the boy that got killed in I think episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3.
So Pat takes everything and he's pissed. He says, you got to go to these kids and you got to get Beth and Yolanda and you got to get the stuff from them. They can't have it anymore. But he does leave the pink pin in the room, not realizing that was in there. So that's going to come back into play because when they zoom into that, something will come back into play.
Yeah.
So.
I love how Yolanda is all in for Wildcat and Beth is all in for Dr. Midnight when Courtney goes to try to get the costumes back. They're telling her how much it means to her.
Right.
To them. And, especially with Beth, she's like, Charles is my best friend. I never had anybody listen to me this much.
Yeah, we talk for hours a day, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a help for her character. And she tries, but they both say, hell no.
Right. Well, Yolanda was actually watching old videos of the original Wildcat and watching him in his fight, and she thought that he got stripped of a title. And he was inspiration for her because he came from nothing and he came back on top. Even if it was taken from him, he came back on top. So it gave her new hope was kind of what it was. So that was why she couldn't take it away from her before. But yeah, she couldn't get anyone to give it away. Rick was not going to give the hourglass away either. It's not happening.
I love how Rick turned the tables on both Pat and Courtney. He tells Pat, I don't know why Starman chose you. You don't really do anything. And kind of ended the conversation. Mm-hmm. And then with Courtney, he was like, when Pat comes to ask for your staff back, are you going to give it to him?
Right, because she wouldn't. Yeah.
And she admits it, and I really like that. And I also just would be remiss to say there was a lot of growth and family growth with Barbara and Mike.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that little bit of levity put into this episode twice. Mm-hmm. She comes, he tells them don't come, there's not going to be any parents, I don't want to seem like a nerd, and then he gets to the science fair and he's the only one without anybody there.
Right.
See how Danny is and then how happy he was that she came, and then they bonded even more when they were back at the house eating the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And I even though that doesn't have anything to do with anything, it got me. It was perfect. And
it may.
It tugged at the heartstrings perfectly.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
It was good writing. I can say, though, with that volcano, he did not pour as much chocolate in there as chocolate came out.
No, maybe he
10 times
inside before?
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure. But, we kind of passed to the point, too. Pat does approach Rick, and he tells him straight up everything and tells him about his dad, and he actually gives him a copy of his dad's book. And that's where Rick kind of says, you've had this book the whole time and you haven't been able to figure it out. And I guess I'm not a chemist. I couldn't figure it out either. But apparently nobody can figure it out.
I love also how when they're talking, Pat tells him that his father made he could have put it for 20. You could have put it for full 24 hours. Mm-hmm. But he said the power was too tempting, and he just had it for 1 hour a day. Mm-hmm. He said was all that he thought. He said because he thought people could get tempted by that power. and he said he never saw his father ever get tempted by that power once, and tells him about, you punched a truck. And I kept thinking, like, dude, like, it's lucky that he just punched a truck.
Right. 100%, yep. But yeah, so they all come together. All the kids do, and that's the kind of moment where you were telling him that Courtney's trying to get everything back from him, and he says that, would you give the staff back? And so they all kind of agree that they've got to, stick together. And that's when the glasses go off and you hear the signal, which I thought was pretty cool. They did this. You have Chuck insulting the gambler, talking about how lazy he is, still using the same signal from years ago, blah, 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 because they're trying to steal, satellite codes?
Yeah, satellite codes.
Yeah, satellite codes, and he's using the same signal apparently he did back when the JSA was there, and Chuck recognized it, and he lets them know. And, of course, the kids make the mistake to try to go take the gambler? Yeah, try to take the gambler out. So
when they break into the facility, Dr. Midnight uses the glasses, Beth does, to get the code. That's a little Easter egg because the first JSA comic was in the winter between 1940 and 1941. Mm-hmm. So the code was 1941.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a little DC Easter egg.
Nice.
And then we get what I was talking about when I said it. We get Sportsmaster. Actually, before we jump into that, one other thing Greg mentioned before we start talking about this was the kids when they were in the building and they found the security guard dead. You could tell like they all were shocked and they've never experienced anything like this before. They thought this was just fun and games first. Besides Courtney, who did see a couple people die now.
Right.
So Joey, case in point.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved this look, especially on Beth's face, how shocked she was.
Yeah. And please get Dr. Midnight a new suit. Please, please, please. All of the suits work. That one does not work.
I'm waiting for the owl. Maybe the owl will make the suit.
Okay, that's a good point. And you're right. All their other suits just kind of formed to them as they kind of got into them. So yeah, I can see that. It just threw me off, man. But Beth was definitely scared, man. She did not want to be there at all. No crime fighter. So
and then we get the piece de resistance, the Sportsmaster and Tigress versus 4 JSA members.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I love the way they did Sportsmaster. Tigress had some great fighting scenes. I didn't like the way Tigress looked.
Same. Wasn't a big fan of how she looked.
Yeah, it seemed like it was looked like gym shorts with stuff kind of with feathers or cloth kind of taped onto it, and then something on her hands. Like I was like, I don't like this, But maybe she'll develop a different look too. I doubt it, but I mean, maybe she will. Who knows?
I wish it was more similar to the Young Justice costume for Tigress.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I think that's better. That's more camouflage, and I think that would be perfect. But it was just a great action scene from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I love how they don't listen to Courtney. They all split up. Beth hangs behind because she doesn't have any fighting skills. There's not much she can do. I'm curious to see what more is going to be added to her going forward.
Right.
Because right now she's just basically an infield AI or infield like person in the chair. So I hope that they something gets added to her abilities going forward.
All right. Yeah, I thought I agree with you there. I thought the fight between Stargirl and Sportsmaster, when just the one-on-one, was awesome. She held her own. She did a great job. It did bother me, though. They were fighting. She kind of saves our man, or Rick, and because he's getting his butt whooped, just getting smashed. I mean, he gets a few good blows, but he's getting smashed. And then when Courtney's fighting him, Courtney's there, and she's kind of getting, it's kind of back and forth, but it looks like she's about to get beaten because Sportsmaster knows how to fight, knows how to fight. And Rick stands up and picks a car up over his head, and then he says something to him to let him know he's there. And then he just holds the car over his head. Like, you had so much time to throw that car at him. I wouldn't even have said anything. I would have thrown it at him when he wasn't looking. But even if you did, you said, hey, or whatever, I can't remember what he said, and the guy turned around, you still have time to throw it at him, and he stands there while Sportsmaster hits a tennis ball at him?
Yeah, or I'm not sure exactly what ball, maybe baseball.
Yeah, okay. But he just stands there, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you have the car in your hand, because he even has time to say, oh, that must be pretty heavy. Like, if you have time for dialogue and to pull the ball out and to hit it, you had time to throw the car. That's all I'm saying. It seemed really weird.
Training, Greg. training.
Yeah, I suppose.
He's just coming off the street. I really loved how they failed in their first mission.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was fantastic because they got zero training. One of my really big issues with Arrow, there's not many because I love that show, said it twice in this episode, was the way they portrayed Laurel Lance, Black Canary from Earth 1, because they gave her 2 weeks of training with glorified self-defense teacher is what they had Wildcat relegated to.
Yeah.
And then somehow she's off fighting all these people along with Green Arrow, whereas Diggle took 3 years of training with him before he put on a suit and started patrolling himself. He was more like middleman, getting some stuff done, like defusing bombs and stuff. But I just love how they failed in their first mission, and at the end of this, Pat shows up to help save them. And you get, like we talked about, that iconic look of the four with Stripe standing behind them. That looked amazing.
Yeah. And, you know, the whole time that fight was going on, I was like, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. When is Stripe showing up? He's going to show up right at the last second. When's it coming? Because he went home. That was back with that bonding moment with Barbara and the son. I can't remember his name. And he asked, he's like, where's Courtney? She's out with her friends. And he's, which friends? And as soon as she says Beth and some other friends, he's like, oh, okay. So you know he's going to be there. You know, yeah. I'm just waiting for that moment for him to get there. And I thought it was really cool. At the end, he pulled a total dad move, because I've done this before with my kids, where you're kind of walking them through something where he's like, she was like, I'm just trying to protect them, and I was trying to tell them to listen to me, and they wouldn't listen to me. He's like, I know, right? It's like it goes in one ear and out the other, right? And he's like, agree with them. I've done that with my kids before. It's a total dad trick. You know, you just got to wait for that moment where the kid realizes, oh crap, this is what this is what he's been doing. So it was pretty fun to see that.
Love that, Greg. And that basically leads into Pat saying that they need training, and I think that they're going to bring them to the JSA headquarters for the next episode, hopefully to train. That
would be cool. Next episode title's not announced yet, is it?
I think it is. Here on IMDb, it says Shiv Part 1.
Ooh, so we're getting a two-parter. Okay.
As Pat teaches Courtney, Yolanda, Beth, and Rick the importance of teamwork, the ISA converge to figure out who is trying to take them down. Elsewhere, as school prepares for homecoming, Sydney lashes out against her father's strict rules, while Barbara accepts an offer from Jordan. Couple things I want to touch on before we talking about this episode.
All right.
The ISA is going to try and figure out the identity of the new JSA members. We got a little glimpse of Icicle's son when he blew out the candle, seeing the cold. And also the ISA, when they're having their meeting, they said they needed Brainwave to do the New America plan, who started getting their powers in the last episode.
And we forgot to talk about that last episode.
And heard Yolanda talk, like in her mind that he's a jerk. Brainwave's son is going to be recruited for the ISA.
Think so?
I just think that probably by the end of the season, he will have to do the right thing to make sure they stop him, and it will go a long way, especially with like what happened with him and Yolanda. Something tells me it was all Sydney's doing.
And that's a good point. That relationship between him and Yolanda could come back to play a big thing in the end. Very interesting.
Those are the last points I wanted to bring up, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I had one more, and that was the birthday cake moment that I wanted to bring up, but you just kind of talked about it where, I mean, they didn't tell what the moment was. You could tell he got up, Icicle gets up and he's leaving, and his son's asking if he's okay. He's like, I know this is a tough day for you. So I knew it was either the day that she died or her birthday. One of the two. And then they're in the restaurant, and the waitress is like, oh, I heard somebody talking about a birthday, and brings it to him, brings him birthday cake, and it's open mouth insert foot for the waitress. And I've been there before. I've waited a lot of tables before. I've been there where you've just kind of, oops, I should have asked before I said something type deal. But, you know, she was trying to be nice.
It brings a lot of heart to villains, too, though. It brings a lot of heart to those characters, especially, like, Icicle, whereas, like, he kills a boy in the episode 3. But still, to show him having these emotions, it kind of balances him out a little bit and makes me kind of feel for him, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
And just loved it, Greg. I'm really excited for episodes going forward.
Yeah. Dude, I 100% agree with you, man. This show is My favorite new show going on that I'm watching right now. It's not my favorite DC show, but it's a really good DC show. It's definitely better than a lot that I've seen. Let's put it that way. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see what happens. We got this is episode 6. It's 13 episode season, so we got 7 left. Yeah, I did math quick there. Did you see that?
Good job, buddy.
It was elementary math. I did it quick.
13 minus 6 is 7.
See, I look at it as 6 plus, or what I got to add to 6 to get to 7. Maybe that's my problem. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, there we go. To Stargirl, 2 episodes this week. Held off a little bit of stuff, but we are keeping up with this show. I really enjoy it. Man, we've been going for longer than normal. You got anything else you want to put out there? Anything else you want to say?
No, brother. I think this is probably our best episode to date. So much news, so much talk about Stargirl. Can't wait for other things to drop. We'll get through to that Doom Patrol stuff. I'm sure DC won't have weeks like this every week leading up to DC FANDOME. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try and put together something special for you guys for DC FANDOME.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're putting a challenge out there to the Marvel Alliance podcast. We have a secret, I guess, undeclared competition to see who can get the most downloads weekly, and we're a little behind. Not far, but we're a little behind. This one's going to push us over the top. So share with a friend, because we got to get over the top there.
I also want to thank every patron that we have. You can get us on Geek Ultimate Alliance on Patreon. Thanks big time. You'll get early access to episodes. For the $5 tier, you get on episodes with no ads as well. For the $1 tier, you just help us keep the lights on. We appreciate both. And we just appreciate the downloads, even if you can't be a patron.
100%.
And also for patrons, I'm going to be doing something with Chris Balga. I'm hoping Greg joins us for talking about some stuff about the DCEU, the recapping the 15 movies, like just the whole idea of doing an animated universe and where do they go from here.
Right.
So look for that. That'll drop in a few weeks, I'd say, hopefully. But besides that, you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line and we can chat DC anytime. We can chat about pretty much anything. And me and Greg also do superhero discussions on Fridays. We're into season 2 of Superman, the animated series now. So look for that. Drops every Friday. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir. It's good stuff, too, man. It's really, really fun. Like, we call that the cool down show for the week. So just going back to stuff you loved when you were younger. But you can find me at the BatDaddy52 on Twitter. That's my personal handle. You can also find me at DCA Pod C1, which is the handle for this show. You can talk to me and Travis at Superhero DISCU1 for the Superhero Discussion Show. Check us out on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. It's your one-stop shop for everything you need for the week, man. We are really appreciative of all the fans, once again, that have had a really great start to this network. We're growing every week. People are liking what we put out. We love to be fan interactive. Hit us up about anything. And you can also find me and Travis at the Super Civil Servants Podcast live on YouTube, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday night, where we talk about all kinds of different stuff. And then if you want to see even more of me, check me out live Tuesday nights on YouTube on the C3 Panthers Podcast, where we talk about Panthers football. So that's about it, man. It's the only place you can find me. So, I am doing a recording with Lisa from I Love the Movie Podcast pretty soon, and we are doing the movie Big, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to be pretty fun. So if you like that movie, check that one out. It's a great podcast, and we love Lisa. So
Great podcast, and Greg, I can't wait to listen to that one. Big is one of my all-time favorites as well.
Yeah, it is. I'm so glad I snagged that one. But, man, I'm done. Magazine's empty. I'm just going to end this with the way I end. I'm going to start ending every podcast like this. Keep pounding.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman, man. Y'all have a good one.
Later, guys.